And we're on. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, guys. Are we on the correct channel? Not on my stream on the YouTube channel? Did I clicked on the correct profile? Yeah, I did. Okay. So welcome to another Order Weekly online week. Actually on the week 7. And as you can see, I'm not alone today. For the first 15 to 20 minutes, Plu joined me. So hello, Plu. Thank you so much for joining me in until Keenan will joining us afterwards. Nice to see
Yeah,
you.
I'm the
Yeah.
temporary Keylon guy at the moment, so,
Terry guy.
I'll try to do my best,
Yeah.
Swiss impersonation.
Cool. How you doing?
Not too bad, just hanging out here. I'm prepared to
Yeah.
watch some Altered. Even when I leave, I'll, get to see you guys do some casting, so
Oh, cool.
not too, displeased about that.
Yeah. So you're not playing afterwards. You're just like joining in the stream,
Nah.
watching.
No, just join the stream watching, and then I got
Nice.
some other stuff as far as, like, some
Yeah.
video work to do,
Okay.
specifically something that may involve, the Altered Quarantine Zone, so we'll see.
Oh, I'm already like excited for every day that it's uploaded so I can show my family. Hey, but I don't tell you guys what to see. You can see it on the channel from Blue. And I said if you play, because now it would be the perfect time, I would say, like for a bigger tournament. We're already 164 players, and I would say, is this already like a new player record for Board Games Arena in general for a tournament, or was it like any bigger? I don't know if the Go for Order It had like
Yeah,
more players.
I know that one was pretty high. I didn't know if it
Yeah.
hit like 170 or not. I'd have to take a
Uh,
look real quick, but
165, as 39 cards said, but it's
okay.
crazy. That's
Nice.
crazy. So guys, as you can see, the player size got increased after like, I don't know, last week. Already 120 player cap was like completely full, like hours before the tournament even started. So let's see if the numbers were getting higher, but it's like amazing, right? So many
Yeah.
players joining in for the Mondays League. It's super cool. We talked yesterday already about it with like Cole when he was like streaming the Ace, when we were talking about like player size, and I had like the feeling that like Europe tournaments in general, or Europe time-based tournaments, getting large player counts, and I was like saying, if you're creating a tournament and you're doing enough advertise, you will hit the 64 players like easily right now for the most tournaments. So if I'm looking for several tournaments, and I think that's like really amazing how fast the tournament community in general grew through the months. That's amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
That's
And
cool.
honestly, it just keeps on getting bigger. So excited to see where it can go from here. And then we're actually coming up on the first round here in a minute. So excited
Yeah.
to see who we got added on and who's going to take the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm also interested. Is there like a specific deck where you're like for sure, okay, this we're taking like the top places like 2 billion times?
I
Would you
don't think
say?
it is a specific
Yeah,
deck. I'll
no
just be
specific
curious to
deck. Yeah.
see if the Altered Aces can still
Mm.
continue their dominance. It seems like of the AWOL
Yeah.
events, but we'll see how have to see how that turns out.
So as you can see, guys, it's not only like the meta is defined by decklist, it's defined by teams that's taking the top spots. What's interesting, and actually the first round started, so but I want to say that Runefolk asked, is this the first stream with Pandy and Blue on screen? And it's actually not true, because you were actually the first guest that I had for the A.W.O.L back to when it's like was streamed on my streaming channel. So it's like a special thing that we're both together now on this YouTube channel finally.
Yeah,
So
not this
yeah,
channel, but I
not
was
this
on
channel.
your channel a few
Yeah,
different times.
yeah.
So yeah.
And it was amazing because Blue was actually the first one for the Arbor League, even before I was starting like to do the Killing bi-weekly with Keelan together. You were like my first guest on the stream, so that's something special now.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, Runefolk, that you remembering. So, and also special is that the first table starts. So, do you have any table that you want to take a look, or that you want to say, hey, I want to see it in stream afterwards when Keenan joined in? Do you have a table in mind?
Let's take a look to see what we have going on
Yeah.
here. Just as far as the first matchups, can always pick something that we may see some other people later on. So see if we can grab someone
Yeah.
that I don't completely at random. Let's try table. I don't recognize this if this is an actual team or if I didn't see it on his list, but
Yeah.
hat. So
Hat. Oh, yeah.
table 33 is there's
Yeah.
actually two multiple hats, so I'm curious to see what that team.
They've played like also on Ace and like also on the AQC championship. I don't know if I asked already Kian if he knows the team, but maybe he can tell us afterwards. Hispanic, but I don't think we have full details. Hispanic Auto team. Okay, so let's go in, and it will be and Basira against. Oh, I'm not allowed to do this. And it will be Basira against Sigmar. Interesting matchup. So let's see how this will went. So, do we have a favor right now? If you see like the matchup,
Probably Sigmar, but
yeah.
Basir is able to pull some stuff out occasionally, so you
Yeah,
never know.
it's true. And as you can see with the start of the we already played out a unique, and it was the Emilia Earhart, when I leave the expedition zone. If you have less than 8 mana ops, create an auto recruit soldier token in your hero expeditioner. Usual token spammer and also the mobile armory that got activated by Sigmar on the hero side. So a cool lineup, and for the Basira right now, it could be easy like to just play out the Purpose Blade Dancer, getting most stats off of it, being sure to actually take at least one expeditioner, but it will not be the first card, it will be actually the Tiny Chin that's getting played out. I would say the Blade Dancer afterwards, and still being able to maybe also keep it until the end. So let's see what Sigmar will do right now.
Yeah, we're probably looking at the Basira deciding if they actually even want to play the Blade Dancer here at this point, or if they need to, or if they just kind of want to set up with that Icebound Peak that we see in the reserve potentially.
Yeah.
At this point, they will need to play another character to be able to advance, and we
Mm-hmm.
will see that Blade Dancer come out. But it'll
Yeah.
have fleeting removed because of its rare ability, so we'll still
Yeah.
get to see it again.
Hearing random echo from the killing guy here and here. Maybe. The echo of him sprinting home. Could be the case, could be the case. So as we can see, the Tiny Chin is getting also the boost, so actually the Basira will be able to progress on both expeditions and also being able to just like blocking out the hero expeditions. So a nice start up. Mobile Army Wrist is sitting there. And now it will be the starting turn for Basira, and still now there's like the chance if the Blade Dancer will be played out because of the ability that it could just like lose fleeting, because there you can decide which trigger will activate it first. So let's see.
Yeah, I'm
What will happen.
actually curious as the reasoning
Mhm.
on why they're we obviously got the boost on
Mhm.
the Jin to be able to ramp up, and so to keep on keeping all the cards as far as manaing or not. So
Yeah.
usually you may have seen them keep there, but I guess they're just trying to stay ahead of the curve a little bit, which isn't always a bad thing. It's cool to see the Overseer though on the
Yeah.
Sigmar. Seems to be a fun card now instead of seeing a lot of the
It's true.
cadets in general. Just having a little bit more stats if you're behind. So we'll see how that comes into play, especially since they are behind on the hero side.
Yeah, that's true. And also I saw that like actually the landmark, the Earthbound pick is perfectly fitting with the Blade Dancer, being able to getting fleeting, losing fleeting, almost just like getting 2 counters on it with just like 1 card for 2 turns. It's
Mhm.
amazing. So let's see if it will plopping off. And right now we can see that the Sigma actually decides to play the Monolith or the Bastion. So now our Basir will be easily able to, depends of course which cards will be still like on hand, and it's actually another Blade Dancer. It's interesting, just to double progressing. And this is like one of the cases of like the Monolith Bastion in general, like actually really amazing card, being able to get like a strong lineup for your tokens and also for every ads card that will be played out. But sometimes it's like a case that if you're only playing this card, then it will be actually the only card that's being able. But right now, The recruit will be played out, being able to block out the companion side. And hello, Skolo Pantre, nice that you joined the stream. And now we will see the play dancer, and it's either just like progressing again on the companion side or just like the hero competition. Yeah.
Yeah,
Getting
definitely.
also.
It's one of those benefits of the
Yeah.
overseer with that support ability, instead of something like traditionally a cadets where you have to
Yeah.
play it for the 2 costs, where you can just use that ability, and especially
Mhm.
with the monolith, you're able to have
Yeah.
a 2/2/2 statted character and prevent that double advance, which is probably the best situation that the Sigmar can hope for at the moment while having
Yes.
that monolith up. They still will be fairly low on resources in comparison to the Basira player, so they got to hope that they draw something here that's
Yeah.
either going to help them draw or help take these games and produce a lot of characters with only 6 mana.
It's true. So keep it there. So the Basira as a term, but also it's just like a strong lineup already, like being in the reserve, playing out both Blade Dancer, being able to activating the Icebound Peak, and getting a big Dragon Shade coming on the board. So it seems looking really, really good. Stop the tournament now. I'm in first place. You know, Philip, sometimes I'm just saying, just do a screenshot and say, hey, I was first place. No one else will ask. just take a screenshot. Without these sets behind it. So, okay. Oh, the Haven Rower will be played out. Strong card. But the Blade Dancer being easily able to block it and also making sure to progress through the Companion Expeditioner. So now it will be the turn of the Sigmar. So let's see. With the 3 mana ready, other card will be placed, and this is a strong, strong Blade Dancer that we're
Yeah,
seeing here.
I'll be curious to see if the Basira has a 1 cost in hand that they're going to play potentially before having the second Blade Dancer come out,
Mhm.
or if they're going to try to time that Icebound Peak this turn if they need it, or if
Yeah.
they may want to save it depending on what's going on here. I imagine
True.
they'll still want to use it here, but it's always fun with the Icebound Peak as far as a permanent. If you
Yeah.
think you can hold on to it and potentially use it in the following turn, especially once you see the Sigmar pass here,
Yes.
they may be able to go over the top on the hero side without activating the peak. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah,
Yeah. That's
Sigmar in
true.
general doesn't have a lot of permanent removal at the moment.
Ooh.
And so yeah, we will see them go over there. And does that unique have a boost ability is the question.
At noon, I have 1 more boost. I gain 2 boosts. Okay. So at least setting up for the next turn. Also being able to progress it. I was like also thinking if there would be like an helping hand in hand, then it could be like cool to play out the Blade Dancer, then the Drake, using the helping hand, keeping the Blade Dancer again, with then I would say around 11 to 12 stats overall. Because now with being like the first player for this turn, also the Sigmar would not be able to just like remove it like with sabotage or something like that. But it was not a decision, so let's see how the Trakina will work out and what the Basira will do.
Yep. I mean, either way, they should have a decent board here once they play that Blade Dancer from the reserve. Assuming it doesn't get
Yeah.
sabotaged, that would be a pretty good play to do it, especially if the Basira decides to get a little bit greedy and play another card from hand before activating that peak with the Blade Dancer play from the reserve. So it should be interesting to see how this plays out. They can decide to do it right away here, or they
Yeah.
can play something from hand. So either way, they are going to have to contest with some pretty big stats from the Sigmar between the Monolith and that Haven
Yeah.
Warrior from the reserve.
It's true. So still choosing out of keeping maybe also the cards in hand or being able to just like going way further with the mana difference if wants to. So let's see.
And they throw another Icebound Peak. Interesting that they
Yeah.
wouldn't. They either if they wouldn't
Ooh.
have another character or
Okay.
something, and then
And
there is that sabotage that I mentioned. So
sabotage situation. Yeah.
the greed that I mentioned before with the
Yeah.
Basira player kind of got the best of them there, assuming that the Sigmar was not going to have a sabotage for them. But the situation possible
Oh,
to get the resupply, but ooh, the Clute is just too
too
expensive to be able to play
expensive.
right now.
Yes. So now, even with like the last card in hand, I would say for now it's like actually really hard for the Basira maybe to actually progressing in one of the expeditions now.
Yeah,
So,
their best option would be if they had a fire rabbit in hand.
yes.
They would be able to give fleeting and activate that icebound peak, and sure enough, there it is.
Yeah.
So it seems like they were prepared regardless if they got sabotaged
Yes.
or not.
That's amazing. Amazing turn. So boosting out that, getting the ice shot, getting the Drake, maybe on the companion side, being able. Oh yeah, each character control gains one boost. So also the Dragon Shade getting one boost. Rabbit also good call. Yeah, good call. Amazing call. So I would say that the Dragon will go now on the companion side, maybe. Then everything get boosted up.
Yep.
And but still, like the Haven Warrior would be able to actually, yeah, making sure that our Sigmar getting progress through the hero or even like on the companion side. It matters
Yeah.
on what actually preferred
Yeah,
by.
it depends where the Basira puts the boost
Mm,
here, I think.
yeah.
Either way, we're
Mm,
likely looking at a 1-for-1. But I feel like the Basira had to do this to at least force the Sigmar to play something and lose that many more resources. What's interesting though is that we do see the rare Order Spy from the
yes.
Sigmar, which we don't see that often anymore coming from
Ooh.
Ordis. And it will get the additional boost that is produced from the token from reserve when it is played potentially next turn. But
But
instead, they just go for the Baba Yaga. That's interesting.
yes. Did the Trakina actually got the boost at noon? There was like the ability at noon that's getting like
Yeah,
boosted.
it needed a boost
Yeah.
on it, and it
Ah,
didn't
yeah.
have one, so
It
it
didn't have
couldn't.
front. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Ah, yeah.
so it
Sure,
couldn't
sure.
gain its it couldn't
Totally.
gain its boost. So
But
interesting to
no.
see here
Mm,
that the Basir is opting to keep the second Icebound Peak
mm,
opposed to the Haven.
yes.
Um, they are going to go second here, so if they get hit with another sabotage, it's
Mm,
gonna hurt a lot for
yes.
them
Yes.
potentially, but we'll have to see how that turns out. Ideally, they're playing pretty aggressive and pretty greedy. It is probably the correct play if they don't get hit with the sabotage, but if they do, probably not. So we'll have
Yes.
to see how it turns out for them.
Yeah, it's true. So the okay, the Havener will be played out to, or like the discard ability will be used so the next character you play this turn gain one boost. And I'm interested now which card maybe from it, but it's just like the Order Spy getting an additional boost, getting another boost from the Monolith, also the Orders Recruit, so a strong lineup already at the beginning of the turn. And now for Basira, of course, the option is there to just play out the Trakina, but the Aklut is not like the best option right now. It's just like being in the case of maybe like running another turn, but as you mentioned, if there's like another sabotage again back in hand from our Sigmar player, then it would be actually really hurtful for our Basira. So now there's just like hoping it's not happening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it seems like the Sigmar
Ooh.
did the support ability for the Haven Warriors so that way it wouldn't get exhausted from the
Mm,
Basira and the Clute. I
yes.
almost might have wanted to leave at least one character out there to
Mm,
force them to exhaust it or
yeah.
use the Clute for something that was less than ideal. But it doesn't seem like it's going to matter too much at the moment with a lot of options left for the Basira and only one card left for the Sigmar.
So now those cases already like Cypher said GG because like of course like overall in the board state it would be easily able just like I would say playing out maybe the Occlude still and getting the Drake shot, but also just like continuing on progressing with the Hero Expeditioner. But I would say it's like not actually over for Cypher because there's still these like strong lineup from the companion side with the 11 stats like on each region type represented. So it's actually still being hard for our Basira, depends on which hand cards like still on, to actually progressing through the Hero Expedition. So instead of playing the last hand card that should be maybe a character, also there's like the case to just keeping it, and then I could only be able to just like exhausting one card in the reserve. So I would say there is still like a small chance for our Sigmar that this game could actually also be a win for him. But it's like a small chance. A small
Says
chance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
looks like there may be an issue with voice doubling over.
Voice doubling.
Yeah, just may
Mm,
need to check that on OBS just in case.
yeah, I'm also
Issue
checking.
with voice doubling over.
Voice doubling.
Yeah, just may need to take a look at that. But either way, we'll see what we got going here with the game. And we do have
Interesting.
a Chiron coming out for the Basira player.
Yes.
They'll only have 2 mana left, and they still have 1 more counter needed for the peak. So they'll definitely need another fleeting activation, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen, and they'll just take the 1-for-1.
Yes. So take the run for run. Being able to get Endeavor and reserve, so now the A.W.O.L could just be played out. Making sure to exhaust it. It would be really hurtful for our Sigmar right now to do it, but let's see. If there's still like a small comeback maybe. Maybe like still even believe Cypher.
There you go.
Yeah.
I just want to thank everyone in general for watching.
Keelan is you're leaving now. Okay. Thank you so much for joining in.
I haven't seen Keelan yet. I was just saying in general.
In general. I was like, it was a goodbye. Like, okay,
No.
thank you guys.
No, I am not the Keelan guy quite yet. I'm just standing in for him. He should be here fairly soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are having a fairly good game here too. Excited to see Pat join us as far as teams. But we will see that A.W.O.L come out, and we will have some big characters on the board between the Dragon Shade, the A.W.O.L, and even the Dracana unique.
Yeah, that's true. So,
And it looks like Keelan is ready here. So once we get done with this game, we'll go ahead and switch over to the Keelan guy.
Yes.
We'll see how this game goes. I'll say goodbye to everyone, but good so far. We'll see if the Sigmar is able to stop the Basira from taking this game.
Yes. I would say for now, it's hard. Okay, the Baba Yaga will be played out, so at least an additional draw, and maybe, yeah. All right. Okay. Okay. And there it is. If you control a token, draw the cards. There's still a chance. Maybe. Maybe.
You're gonna need to come up with a lot of stats on both sides here.
Yes.
Not many cards that I can think of off the top of my head that are going to help them. We're likely looking at a win here, especially with the ability to play a Chiron as well. Even removal is going to be difficult, especially with some more boosts coming out.
I mean, if our Basira player now somehow misclicking so many times that just leaving the table, there would be a chance that our Sigmar were getting the win, but it would be not the case. No.
Yeah, they may be able to get one expedition advance, but there's no way that they're stopping both.
Yes, it's true.
And we will see. Yeah, we'll see the day in there, and Basira take it over the Sigmar.
Yeah. So GG to our Basira. Always nice to see.
Yeah, definitely. And that'll be it for me for at least this event. It was good being able to get on the games. Thank you, Pandy.
Thank you so much.
For anyone that does not know, I am in fact not the Keelan guy. I am Blue. You can find me on Blue Oak TV on YouTube. It's some great place to watch some altered content. But other than that, it was good seeing everyone, and I'll catch you later.
Okay, bye. Thank you so much again for joining me in. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay, guys, so we have only a couple of seconds that I can do whatever I want because I'm alone. So I would say,
hello there.
No, PaandyAndy, I can put the logo on. Welcome, guys. Hello. Oh man.
Oh my god, that logo is a little bit big.
Yeah, okay. I would take it a little bit smaller, like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my god.
I would say it's perfect. So, guys,
it's yet another takeover, it seems. Yes.
They thought they could stop us with last week with our streak, but we're back. We're back, guys. No,
You know, just sitting down here to see what we're showing up to for this. This is a 7-round tournament this week, which is super exciting.
yes.
And I'm seeing 165 players. I mean, I'm sure you've already been talking about it a little bit with Blue, but that's super exciting. That's a amazing player count.
So many players. And I've realized there was like, if there would be like one more player than the actually record of like the Go for kickoff event.
Oh wow, okay.
Because Go for was also like the players picked with 165 player in one like online tournament.
That's true, definitely.
Not enough. Change it back to 6. What do you mean, Cole? Please help us. But anyway, nice that you're joining in. It's amazing again that we both can cast together. So yeah, like some.
Hey, I'm thrilled to be here, but you know,
Yeah.
I'm seeing right now there's table 2. I think this might be good to spectate because there's a German player and a Swiss player. So I think
let's
maybe
go.
we have to hop into that.
We need to hop in, and now we will do the cast in German and Swiss German.
Yeah, exactly. And again, goodbye to all of our current viewers, except for our Mr. Freeloader, of course.
Yeah.
But this looks really cool. So on one side we have a Gurang, which is not the most commonly seen, I would say, but looks like a cool build with a sacrifice sub-theme, Anubis currently in reserve.
Yes.
But what are we seeing from our Fen player, Pandy?
So as you can see right now from our fan player, there's actually a Lyra Festival in play. And so I would guess it's actually also a Lyra Festival. It is amazing. There's a studio disable with you may put a card from your hand in reserve. If you do, up to 1 target character gain a sleep and also to boost, but goodbye to our studio disable. And it's actually interesting to see the matchup because I can say that the most common matchup that I need to play against actually in my locals is to play against the Gurang because we almost have only Gurang players. And I would say Gurang is an amazing deck, but I have the feeling sometimes that there is something missing from Gurang. There's like the small piece that is missing that this deck could actually be going crazy. As a deck, but I didn't figure it out yet, so
yeah, you know, I sort of agree with you. The deck does feel pretty close. I think the unfortunate thing that it runs into in a lot of cases is that even when the deck's reasonably good, in a lot of cases you're just like, wait, but if I was Sigmar, this would be even better right now.
Yes.
And so I think really making the difference between Sigmar and Gurang is sort of the problem scenario where sometimes Gurang looks pretty okay, but even those games are likely, you know, the Sigmar thing is what the deck is doing.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, in this specific circumstance, though, it looks like they're ahead on the Tumult, largely thanks to the fact that it's a Lyra Festival strategy from the Fen.
Yeah.
And honestly, this Anubis might be pretty good over the next couple turns as well to really prevent the Fen from getting anywhere.
Yeah, that's true. Hold on. Overloss is actually a local player for my scene. I totally forgot. It's actually his deck
that would
list.
explain it then.
Yeah, it's his deck list. Oh, I totally forgot it.
That's amazing.
From my local scene. It's crazy. So Overloss, if you're seeing the stream, hey buddy, what's going on? I only have 2 weeks left for working and then I can be back on Friday. But no, but actually it's like crazy because I wanted to talk about like in the general thing of the Gurang list that I'm seeing. So there's like aggressive, there's like control, but I'm always have like the feeling so a Gurang can actually just like, and I would say ruin our teammate relagging. It can hostage really good with the defending ability. But there's like the lack of going from this I'm defending everything to I'm actually such a progressing. And I'm so sure, I don't know why, that someone will have a conclusion for this, but I'm not sure.
That's fair.
Yeah.
It was interesting this past turn because the Gurang did decide to fire off this Anubis just this turn to get rid of the Sandman that was on the board for the Fen side. And that one is pretty interesting because it did guarantee them an expedition progression through the Twinkle Twinkle, and the Twinkle Twinkle was forced. Like the Fen player had to play it so they didn't lose the game. But at the same time, that was also the Gulrang's only removal, which does mean that there's actually a chance here for the Fen player. If the Gulrang didn't draw removal this turn, the Fen could potentially try to go off here and win with the Lyra Festival still. So a little bit risky from the Gurang. I mean, I like it. Take the chance there, push
Yes.
towards the win, but at the same time, I'm a little bit worried.
It's true. But I would also say, so if there's like not any removal from our Gurang, maybe the Lyra Festival could just like plop up directly and we're getting back to hand. Okay, that's interesting. So is there a chance? Is there a chance?
I mean, yeah, the Fen can definitely do it this turn. They do need characters in hand in order to make it happen. But if they do have them, thanks to the Hatter's support ability, they would have the ability to give something anchored. The Lyra Festival that they return to their hand is the rare, meaning that it would, instead of drawing a card, when you play it, it has the ability to give something fleeting, anchored, or asleep. So if they're missing a condition, that could work. And then they also showed the Silent Night now, which isn't a guaranteed whatever you need, but it can, half of the time, get you that remaining thing that you do need. So who knows, there's a chance, but as it stands, it looks like they're just sort of trying to contest the tumult a little strangely. But I feel like this has to be an attempt to try to go for a win here. I'm just wondering what combination of cards could work. The fact here is the Gurang is contesting the hero side on a water expedition themselves, and the Hatter being played to that hero side as well only contests the mountain, and same with the Nyala that's on that side as well. So so far looking really good for Gurang.
It's actually really good, and it's a run. Oh, getting anchored, and
Bleeding or asleep rather,
sleep. Oh, on run 3 is sleep. Oh yeah, that's true. So
No, Gulrang's taking this. Yeah, that's cool to see.
I'm always asked myself why you are doubled in voice. What's the reason behind it?
That is strange.
Wait, say something now. Can you say something?
I'm saying many things.
Okay. You should say something, not many.
Something.
Something. No, okay. Yeah, it was also the case with blue, but I'm not sure what's like the case. Maybe it's changed at some point. So guys, tell me if it's going back. So yeah, we still got there's like so many players. So there are like so many tables that playing. Oh man,
that's pretty exciting. It's going to be a long one today. I'm ready for it. Trebstar says better, so maybe it's fixing.
Okay. So
it's also cool. I see that Trebstar's playing today and is also 1-0 so far. So that's cool.
And I also just want to say on table 7 that Freelander actually played against someone from a team named GG. So do you know anything about the team? I wanted to ask.
Frankly, not yet. No, I do not.
Okay, so
more people who are absolutely encouraged to get in touch with me, and I can send them a full list of things that us and the casting team are interested in to know about all of the wonderful altered teams out there. But yeah, the dossier is in constant improvement, so you can always reach out to Kilon Guy on Discord, where whatever altered server I'm in, I'm the Kilon Guy, so you'll be able to find me.
Okay. It's amazing. So actually, there's like one table left, and it's table 11. It's like I think it's the last table. Okay, at some point, yes, maybe a double voice, but I don't.
Ooh, and we are seeing another Basira playing against the Sierra this time.
Ooh.
And this game is very close.
It seems maybe like an overtime or just like when Interior go the machine on ice, unless you control 2 or more landmarks. Send me to reserve. The next permanent you control, you play this afternoon costs 2 less. Okay.
Yeah, the big question though is, can somehow with only 4 mana, can the Basira find a way to outstat on that companion expedition? And that's going to be really difficult.
Yeah.
The sheer number of brass bugs that have been made this turn, thanks to double brass bug hive, looks pretty good.
It's true, and as we can see, maybe it's just going to overtime. Yeah. Tiebreaker. Oh, yeah. No. Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
it
looks like it should be going to overtime.
Yeah,
I think the
Yeah.
thing's going to be really interesting here. I think both players do have a shot quite reasonably.
Yeah.
It's really going to come down partially to whether I think Sierra finds yet another permanent in some cases, especially one that costs like only 3 or so mana. Because these brass bugs are very large, and just being able to get an extra one with the hero ability would be a really big deal this turn, I think.
Yes.
But at the same time, like, Basira is going to have a really good shot at it as well. Not only do they get the boosts from the Tiny Jin ability from when played from reserve in general, this Kitsune that does have the ability to give up to 2 target characters each 2 boosts, but they also have a Haven in play, so there's yet an additional boost on top of everything else. There's that Basira hero ability. I wonder if there's somehow like maybe a sabotage or an exhaust that could come out from Sierra, but that's going to be really critical, I think.
What I also realized is because
they did get it.
and it's like because it was like putting like the discard zone from the reserve, and I was like, in that case, with being able to activate the ability, then you could be easily being able to just like also exhaust already, and it's so amazing that's just like again on hand. I was like, Resp Archive on the double side wouldn't be like actually needed because you could like easily completely destroy the gameplay from the Basira. Amazing. It was cool.
No, that Nylum was the perfect card there. Not only was it a permanent to activate that Sierra hero ability, make the other brass bug as you mentioned, but also exhausting the most threatening card that was in play. Basira just concedes on the spot. That's a good one. Very impressive. Good draw.
And we're being in the second round already.
Yes, we are. That's exciting.
And there are so many players. So I want to make sure that also like maybe like watching some players that I don't know before. And I see that Kitesnow actually got a team tag. It's BCXA.
Yeah, that's Bootcamp X Altered.
Oh, interesting.
That's I believe that's the team that I'm not sure if it's run through, but affiliated with MC Bird and MC Hotdog from Go for Altered.
Ooh, that's nice. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm up for any table if you have a preferred one.
I'm interested in. It's like a new team. Maybe we can go down table 15 and take a look on
table
that.
15. Yeah, sure. Yeah. I know last week we actually saw a good bit of Kitesnow, especially because they had a good run from both Ace, I believe it was. Yeah. They won Ace, not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before. As in not yesterday, but a week ago. But then they also had a really good run. I think it was A.W.O.L, actually, one of the A.W.O.Ls as well. They were largely playing Fen, and so if they're still playing Fen, I'm expecting very good things.
Yeah, so let's see. Game is still loading, but actually I was also like, I've talked with Pooh at the beginning, so if there's like okay, nice that you mentioned Fan, because we can see the mirror matchup directly going in, table loaded. We were joking around because I was asking like, hey, is there like any deck that you would say would be especially being on the top list? And I was like saying no, and then he was like, as you mentioning all the teams that take like top spots. Then I was like, yeah, the meta is not defined by decks; it's defined which team will take over. Freddie at 16, and then.
I think it's been pretty clear that the elephant in the room as far as teams go for the last week has really been Altered Aces. They did a really excellent job in both last week's Monday and Wednesday A.W.O.L. And they're making a really big point of bringing in as many of their players as possible for these events and taking them pretty seriously. So I definitely think they're some of the faces to beat there. I think, there's a couple other teams that are a little bit smaller that regularly have good performances. I mean, not just our own team, AQZ, we do pretty reasonably, I think, but also there's other teams like After You, but then like players like Genetic are constantly overperforming in events again and again from teams like DSL. So I don't know. I think things are still pretty open. I think in a lot of cases, Altered Aces are showing that they are one of the dominant teams at the moment, but also sometimes it's a little bit a function of the number of players they're bringing. I know there was an interview with Clay from Altered Aces as well that Blue did recently. You can check that out on Blue's YouTube channel. You're welcome for the little promotion there, Blue. You can check that one out though, but he does mention there how regularly they have a ton of people just hanging out in their Discord. And that is really very much the case. Like if you do head over to the Altered Aces Discord at some point, it's very rare that, especially on a European evening, that you'll see less than like 10 or 15 people hanging out there. So it's cool seeing those player numbers.
Yeah, that's actually crazy. And we also talked about like in general, like how large in general, like European time-based tournaments is getting. And I was also like taking the spot already like yesterday on the stream of Cole, where I was like, or I'm thinking, if you just like doing like a normal regular European time zone event and you're doing like enough promotion, you could easily reach out like 64 players on almost like every day if they're like not 15 parallel tournaments there. But
yes, I
and
agree.
that's crazy. It's crazy how fast or how large like the tournament, especially community grew up for Autored. It's amazing.
I really agree.
Yeah.
I think especially a lot of the people who have been playing only in their local scenes until now have also been exploring the online tournament scene. It turns out it is pretty good. There are sometimes limited tools for organizing tournaments through the BGA end, and BGA has had some of its own problems. But overall, I mean, it's been really fun seeing all these tournaments that have been not just popping up, but run previously, and they have been pretty competitive as well. So I'm not surprised to see more players playing them, especially given that the European time zone, it just works so well for France specifically, where most of the players are still from. But not to say there aren't a couple other strong countries, especially like Germany in the European time zone, at least.
Germany.
This game so far, we have been a little bit, not quite as much paying attention to it, I must say. However, it's really just been trading back and forth so far. Both players recognizing that it's going to be hard or potentially risky to contest both expeditions, and rather just picking up one and playing to the other side of each other, which is absolutely a reasonable way of doing things, especially as a Fen. You are potentially threatening a small step giant leap win towards the later stages of the game. But in general, I think the key thing for the Fen matchup that these players are trying to do is still find their expedition progressions while picking up more cards like acapella training and magical training, and especially being able to use Ouroboros Inkcaster is a very big deal. But this turn was huge. Case'no did manage to find a double advance there with these double Ouroboros Inkcasters they had. So that was a pretty impressive turn from them, and I'm wondering if Hurricane has a potential way of coming back now at this point.
I think like the comeback were pretty hard because it's actually crazy with the acapella training that actually Hurricane tried to just like reduce the resource that were going back like to the reserve, or like in general with the Ouroboros Inkcaster to getting some cards back in hand, because as we can see now, it actually didn't hurt that much for kites. So still like a strong thing that we can see in the results is like either like this Rackpan Quarter that being able to coming out with a boost. It's being the Alice that's like stat-wise not too bad for right now, but also being just like using the ability of an after you, so making sure that there is a chance that actually Hurricane also needs to lose some more resources that he usually wants to use to. And as you can see right now, Hurricane rebuilding out his own unique, and it's, if you have 2 or more cards in reserve, you may return a card from your reserve to your hand. It's actually really amazing.
Yeah, it's really funny.
Yes.
Because it's actually really similar to some of Case'no's uniques. I believe both of the ones that Case'no typically plays, other than this Alice unique that we see in their reserve right now, I'm pretty sure both of their others are also Magpeng Hoarder uniques. So maybe this is the unique to beat from Fen. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's actually amazing. It's also interesting like with the hand card effect, because it could happen sometimes. But I would say from now on, actually, that for a Fan specific, maybe like this was something that you need to take care of set one, that you have almost like abilities that will be actually could be activated from the reserve more likely than from the hand. But there are like so many new resources, like actually what's being in play the sleight of hand, that you're being so easily able to just like put your cards back to your hand, take them out again from there, that you're always making sure that you can bounce through a reserve, turn from your hand back to then, that you can simply play just like cards like that, and they're also getting like maximum.
Yeah.
Like,
no, you're
out of it,
You're totally right. I think it's also worth noting, like this Alice, the condition that it has, for example, of putting a card from your hand into reserve in order to enable it, is, for Fen at least,
Yeah.
a much lower cost than this would be for most other decks. I think
Mhm.
there are many circumstances where I bet
Yeah.
that actually feels like an upside for the Fen player, being able
Yeah.
to put potentially a cost reducer into the reserve in order to play the Alice, but still be able to make a follow-up play, for example.
Yeah.
And notably, that effect is not just from hand when that Alice is
Mhm.
played, it's from anywhere. So
From
being able to
anywhere, yeah.
potentially get multiple
cool.
direct to discard removals instead of to reserve removals, that
Yeah.
is such a nice Alice. A very cool card.
Yeah, it's an amazing card. And so now it's the turn for Hurricane and the Magpeng Hodler sitting alone in the reserve. Waiting for his companions. So actually he's being able to boost up, but at least Hurricane still got enough cards back in hand. But like right now it's like actually an amazing stand for Kites though. It's being like the Magpeng Holder still being needs to be played out. It's a general coup because right now Hurricane knew, okay, so if I'm playing something from hand, I don't need to believe that's actually going to my reserve ever, because there's just like a Capella training that's sitting there. But from that, like still with 2 mana left, it's like either playing out your Magpeng Horta to make sure to blocking the companion expedition, or also being able to progressing forward. So at least the fan needs to do something against it. And it's just like a favorite state right now for Kites now. Also,
I
mention if there will
agree.
be like a small step giant leap. I'm not sure if he's playing it because I've saw a couple of lists that actually also preferring running the slave. How do you call it? The gear, the expedition gear, where you can progressing twice if your expedition is progressing.
At least in the list that Kaisno was playing last week, he definitely played the small step as a one
Okay,
of.
that's amazing.
Hold on, I will check now to confirm for today.
Yeah. I will. Oh, right, guys. Now you can see that I'm checking behind it. Put it to another
Yes,
screen.
so interestingly, Hurricane is not playing a small step, but Kaisno is playing one, so that is a particularly big threat. I think it's really interesting here. Yeah, that Magpeng Hoarder was played out onto the companion side for Kaisno, and it did force out another character play from Hurricane to at least block that expedition and take it themselves, but that's already a good trade for Kaisno.
Yeah.
Given that they're ahead, I think they're correctly recognizing they only need to be advancing on one side at this point, and that they would be winning the game off of that. And there's also very little threat to Hurricane's advances, at least to Kaisno, at least yet. The main reason being as well that there is no small step giant leap for them to be worried about.
Yeah.
So I think they're very much just looking here to either find an expedition progression themselves, or at least try to prevent Hurricane from setting up some sort of card advantage loop. I think that is the biggest worry at this point for Kaisno, who is a little bit lower on resources, notably. So there is some sort of chance for a comeback if there is a card advantage loop that could come out here. But cards like Tanuki make that a lot harder. Being able to get rid of an Ouroboros Inkcaster off the bat is definitely a good start.
And we will see again the a cappella training will be playing out. But as mentioned before, it's actually something, usually it's hurting like a lot for most of other decks that will be played at the a cappella training will be played out, because even like if we're being in a fairness and a player will like playing the a cappella training out and the helping hand is the only thing that maybe like helping you out, it's still like the case now, or favor for Kaiser, because there's enough resources that he can get through it, even if like nothing going back to the reserve. So right now we see the Tanuki, we see the Ouroboros Trickster, also like an amazing card that you can play on the deck. And both of the decks running actually just like one copy, because it's like either from hand or from the reserve, a good card to play. It sometimes can change out, and now it's a turn for us. So it's either like maybe a sleight of hand, getting something back from hand, maybe a reducer, or just making sure to actually progressing on one expedition. So let's see.
Yeah, notably both players with that Ouroboros Trickster here rolling poorly on the die roll, meaning, or at least their bottom 50% of die rolls, meaning that on its own, nothing's really happening so far on the hero side, which is reasonably, a good thing for Hurricane. It would have been very, very bad if they had to play out that Trickster onto that hero side and then rolled lower when if Kaisno had rolled a double boost on that, 4 through 6, giving the 2 boosts instead of just 1. That would have been a very bad position to be in. But so far, it looks like this turn, there's actually a chance for them to stabilize. The fact that this decision is taking so long for Caseno here, I do think suggests that at least it's not a slam dunk, easy decision to find another expedition progression. But we'll see. I think we're going to get a lot of information here from the sleight of hand, picking up that acapella training and showing us one of those cool Magpeng Hoarder uniques.
And it's rolled down on plus, so you may return a spell from a reserve to your hand. And if you have 2 or more cards in reserve, you may return a card from a reserve to your hand. That's amazing. Amazing card.
Yeah.
I
think that makes the best card that Hurricane could potentially have here to be a Tanuki of their own. But there's also a chance that that could have already been used. And removal now. Cloth Cocoon going after that Tanuki, I assume. Yep, exactly. Gets rid of the Tanuki. But this Magpeng Hoarder now threatening a potential advance.
And that's amazing. Playing out the acapella training to see what Hurricane will play out now, because if there are like no 2 1-cost drops like a Martingale in hand, then there's actually the chance that actually Kitesnow will be able to move at least on 1 expedition. Depends on what friends they could have like in play, and it's just like passing, so the Magpeng Hoarder will be played out. And there's the big question: is the Small Step Giant Leap already in hand, or is it all just like bluffed?
Well, the chances are very much no. The chances should be that there is no small step yet, at least. Of course, this game would be very simple from this point if they did, but chances are they don't. But I really love the line that they took this turn. That sleight of hand giving them all the information they needed, both by putting a 1-cost from reserve character play into their reserve, but also giving them, again, that acapella training that not only gave them the information they needed to definitely be able to advance using that Magpeng Hoarder this turn, but also will set up well for this upcoming turn, where they, again, will have access to that acapella training to just wait as long as possible before having to show their hand, like what they actually want to be doing with the turn. So Caseno, I would definitely recommend, if you are an aspiring Fen player yourself, watch a few of this guy's replays. They are not making mistakes, or not any that I'm seeing, and it's really clean gameplay. I love it. Loving it.
Yeah, it's true. And for me, as a new fan player, I want to believe that I want to play fan, because I'm always going back to Sigmar. As always, but it's nice to see. It's nice to see.
It's also worth noting that what they're doing is a little bit different than what many Fen players have been doing. They are playing these 2 copies of Sleight of Hand, and it does heavily influence how their deck plays out in general. They're really heavy on these like really, I would say, skill intensive and skill expressive lines in the mid to late game that Sleight of Hand does tend to enable. Both the flexibility of potential support abilities, like putting them into the reserve at times when they're needed, is super cool, but also being able to reuse spells like Magical Training at a discount is definitely really good reasons to be using that card. And they've definitely built their deck around it as well.
Sure, so let's see. It's the starting turn for Hurricane right now. As you can see, there will be an A.W.O.L Incaster and also an acapella training, just like sitting in the reserve. Still got 3 hand cards left. And there are like many cases how Hurricane could start off the turn, but what's most important is like that Kaisen still could just like play out the acapella training, and I'm almost sure if they're like, it's not a Small Step Giant Leap on hand, just playing out the acapella training, reading out of what's happening, so could take time. It will be like a total of 2 mana, but it's actually like not that hard for a fan in general, because there are like many options that you could be playing out still with 6 mana. So Hurricane right now needs to actually thinking of like, okay, how can I making sure that I'm getting the right expedition to block without being like Caseno in a more favorable way? And as we can see, the A.W.O.L Incaster were getting removed, and we see a Capella training, so I guess there will be an actually 8 mana line up on the hand, and I would say it's a Trinket, at least one Trinket will be in hand with this play.
It's
Therapy,
possible.
yeah.
I think the line there is cool, at least to try
Mhm.
to insulate themselves a little bit from potential sabotage in
Yeah.
addition to this acapella training.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, they're going to have to play something into either a sabotage or yet another acapella training, which will likely force Hurricane to make all of their decisions first anyway. I do like this line, though. They're trying to give as little information before they fully
Yeah.
commit. But I mean, with just these mana counts, it's going to be so difficult given that Kano gets to play reactively this turn.
Yes.
It's going to be such a difficult one to come back from, especially given that again, Kano can still play this acapella training yet again from reserve here. I can't help but imagine if there's any other character, it's likely to be enough on its own.
Yeah. And I would say for now on with the app Kabbalah training, oh, it's an aloe actually, but I would say like with many cards, like with actually many cards, or just like one card like you had up,
Yep.
it would be actually enough for fan. But Chi, and as you mentioned from both players, actually, it was so clean played. So there's like a small chance where I'm saying if you have like two really, really strong players and also players that well know their deck, at some case you're almost feeling like, okay, it's just like cards difference. It's like,
Oh,
like at some points are like card difference. It's like better hand card draw, better reserve resupply and stuff like that. But it was amazing.
Totally agreed there.
Yeah.
I don't think I think Hurricane found the best line that they
Yes.
possibly could that turn as well. It's just one of these things where Kano had exactly enough mana to play the Hatter right over that Trickster as well. That is a very good card in these late game scenarios when you're already ahead and you're just trying to push one expedition. I like the line Hurricane took. It was as conservative as possible. It gave them as much information as they could and as little to their opponent, but just not enough there. They didn't have enough resources to make it work.
It's true. And is there some background noise on PaandyAndy's side? I'm not sure it's just in training, so if I'm like turning up the volume of the stream, then it doesn't or sound like that, but I'm not sure. Maybe I will figuring out at some point. Maybe we're figuring out from themselves. So
Good question. I don't know.
yeah, it's a good question. I don't know.
I'm not hearing much at least, so
Yeah,
I don't know.
okay. So we still got time for another table because there are plenty of tables still playing. So now you can choose because I choose the table. You can choose now.
Let's go. Nope, never mind. That one just ended. That's too bad. Yeah, well, let's jump into table 10.
Oh, yeah, sure. Let's go in.
So here we're having yet another Lyra mirror match, except this time one of the heroes is Aurak, who we don't usually see, being played by a player from Team Alterdaces as well in Moondust. So that's already pretty cool to see. Currently facing down a pair of Anansis on the Fen side of Polinu. But yeah, as it stands, looking actually pretty reasonable for Aurak. Aurak's about to get another activation of their hero ability this upcoming turn. They are one expedition behind, and that's definitely a source of worry, especially with there being multiple Anansis that are able to just hang out in reserve here for our Fen player, and that can definitely be pretty strong. Notably, one of these Anansis is a unique. It doesn't have that typical Anansi ability for gaining the boost for each card in their reserve, but it does have a pretty cool support ability that can give everything fleeting. But I think the sheer stats of the other Anansi are the potential worry there for the Aurak player. But depending on what they hit off of the hero ability, it could be a really good turn for them. So excited to see. Let's see what they roll.
I'm also excited. It's also like just like and I want to mention is like the amazing uniques that our Aurak got here. It's like both uniques. If another player with a basic of 0 will be played out, then the Aurak will be able to just like resupply. And what we see like right now, like in just like a small hint from that, what being able, it's like actually if this Aurak get like a correct lineup, then it could be possible to just play out the complete deck and reducing almost the cost of the entire deck and just like looping it again and again. And I'm hoping that we can see it in this game because it's amazing.
Yeah,
like
there are some very scary things that resupply uniques can do in the game at the moment, and we know to some extent as well that those sort of effects are on Equinox's radar, and it is very likely that Aurak is just going to be able to loop sort of indefinitely at this point. They should be
Yeah.
able to get a sort of a crazy number of characters out. I have a feeling they're likely going to even be able to outstat Anansi's. They should definitely be able to sleep anything that they need to. I could imagine that they're going to find a double advance this turn, unless maybe a sabotage plus removal could come out now. But this is going to be hard.
And now with the another paper hero that will be playing out, it's actually crazy because then there will be like a triple resupply. Every time something will be played out. And now we can see it. So the last card will be resupplied. It's another time a reduced coster. It will be the header. And I would say we can see some infinite stuff. we will see some infinite stuff that we're happening now if this will be like the correct thing.
So as you mentioned, I'm trying to go into how this sort of combo works is exactly as you mentioned, that idea. This triggers whenever a character is played with a base statistic of 0 by the Aurak player. Each of these uniques do something very similar there, meaning that they're going to get 3 resupplies per character they play, as long as that character has a 0 in one of its stat lines in this case. Many of the cards in their deck, you're going to see, for example, this Will-O'-the-Wisp that just entered reserve from that triple resupply there, have the support ability to make the next card they play this turn cost 1 less. If they're able to find enough cost-reducing support abilities like that they can then discard to make another character play, they're going to be able to keep adding stats to the board, and every single time they do, they're going to resupply another 3 characters and just keep going on like that. And notably, the fact that there's this Hatter common as well, it doesn't quite have the same support ability, being able to discount something, but it will be able to anchor something, meaning that these uniques that currently have fleeting might actually stick around a little bit longer as well. So they're a little bit protected in that sense. So even if they don't manage to fully go off this turn and win off of it, they might be able to do the same thing the next turn, the turn after that, and forevermore. So yeah, that's potentially a big worry here. Notably, the way cards in discard work, like for example, when the player cashes in on those support abilities to discount their next play, they go to discard. And when the Aurak player here gets rid of all of the cards in their deck, their discard reshuffles back into their deck, and they know for a fact that the cards that they just put into their deck are characters with the support ability that discounts their next play. So they know they have a very high density of that ability here, and they're just going to go crazy with it.
Yes, and it's crazy to see because I mean, you always, as you mentioned, it's like that, like Equinox have this on the radar, and it's like, but it's like actually, luckily, not always the case that you see stuff like that, because Aurak is not like a favorite deck that will be played like almost every, you see it like on every game that you're jumping right in.
Yeah.
Well, but when stuff like that happens, so like now, if I would see this, I would be honest to myself and I would say like, okay, there's like no any chance that I could like take a chance of it, besides I'm somehow being able to manage to progressing on one expedition, and then I know I would get like a small step trying to leap through my deck. Because right now it seems almost like unstoppable for right now.
So Pandy, as a Fen player yourself, if you know that your opponent is on Aurak and it's probably combo Aurak, how do you beat that as Fen? What is your strategy going into a game like that against Aurak combo?
It's an interesting question. So that the Aurak ability or like this combo is working, it's almost like that you need to have like the uniques in play, and so that your uniques, or it depends on the uniques, but in general being keep on play, it's like either that they're being like anchored, or it's like pretty easily possibly since you can almost like re-going to like to your deck the entire time. So I would make sure like in the early game that I would not only actually being able to like progressing fast, because I always knew like, okay, there's like at least one set line that will stay on 0, but I would do everything in my case to make sure that I have enough resource or also like ability in general to getting rid of those uniques. So there is like not a chance like that, like all 3 of them just like popping out, and also like already that like 2 of them were being able to stay. So I want to make sure that either like in the reserve there is nothing left to actually anchoring something or putting back to sleep, or just like, so I'm just like hoping that I'm getting rid of the uniques fast enough so that the Aura could not be able to do it. Like in that case.
You heard it here first. If you're looking to fight against this Aurak combo,
Yeah.
you can concede a few early expeditions. Make sure you have removal and sabotage effects. Definitely helps. But I mean, sometimes even in this game, it's looked reasonably interactive from what I can see thus far. There is at least a Tinkerbell in the discard for the Fen player. There was acapella training played this game at least as well. But in this case, I mean, yeah, these uniques having fleeting doesn't matter too much because there's no removal going after them, and now they're all anchored. We're going to see them for yet another turn.
Yeah, they will be there forever now.
Yep.
It's like right now, as you see, it's like it would be like the case that our Aura would be able to almost circle every turn through the entire deck at least once. So stuff like the header, stuff like the Kodama with the ability would be staying out, like there would be like there forever. And so there's actually, if there would be not like a triple like removal for the uniques, then there will be there forever. So this is like the case where I would say, like for myself, if I would not like enjoying it, then I would say for myself now, okay, I can concede FF this. Or if I would be serious and I would be like in the tournament, I would just like wait until the time will go out and then we'll claim the victory.
And speaking of FF15, notably, these players both only get 15 minutes of time, and the Aurak is forced whenever they play a character to resupply another 3 things. It's not an option they have. They have to resupply with those uniques, meaning it's actually taking them a lot of time to execute this combo at this point. And that does somehow give a win condition to our Fen players still, despite looking so far behind at this point. Currently, Moondust has spent 16 minutes of their 15-minute clock, meaning that if another minute and a half passes, Polino, our Fen player, will likely win by default. So Moondust has to play very fast here in order to win. That is the main criteria for them at this point.
It's true. And that's like one of the interesting things about how like the time for the players will work like on online tournaments and like in the difference of working like in real life tournaments. Because like if you would be like in a local tournament or like in real life, then both players getting like a fixed time that you have time to play the game, and then a deck like an Aurok would be working well and actually really, really good because you know like, hey, the time is for us both, so when it's taking time, it's taking time. But in that case now, Paulino could just like say, okay, you can take your time, you can like circling 2 billion times through your deck, and I would just write it out because there's like a chance that you're actually just getting out of the time restriction. And that's what I'm liking, also like seeing at some point of how your deck would be actually being useful in some cases, because there's like a chance that your opponent, even if they're already like FF, could say, okay, I'm just writing it out. I have the time to do it and I have the right to do it. So that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, the game should be guaranteed as a win for Aurak, regardless of what Fen plays, as long as Aurak can play this quickly enough. And the reason why I say that is even though there are some of these split stats and a lot of these 0 stat lines for the Aurak player, they've not only demonstrated that they can completely loop through their deck and have enough cost reduction to do so, but no matter what characters even get played by the Fen, Twinkle Twinkle as a card in reserve there will be able to sleep anything that actually threatens to go over them. But again, that is not a May ability on that resupply effect, so they're going to have to keep executing things properly and quickly in order to try to win it, and they only have a minute left on their own clock.
That's true. And as real life tournaments would have a hard round cap and also judge to say, hey, make a move. And that's true, but like for me, as a competitive player on local before, you can actually like on other card games, I don't know like how it works for Auto Red, but remember like for Pokemon or also like for Lorcana, they are actually like directly wrote it in of how long you can take for your turn. And if I would say every time I'm doing this and would take my time to do that, if I would not just like stop playing, but still like doing all my stuff that I need to do for my deck, then a judge could say take a move or being faster, but it's actually not allowed to force me to being faster in that case. You could just like for the Aurak especially, because like the time is over, we go to the next round. Every ability that you're using right here, you need don't need to spam use the abilities. I could do every ability one by one, and it's still like allowed, like in the case in other card games. And this is like one of the things that sometimes, or like in some tournaments I've played myself, if someone is playing like a control deck, they're taking their time because they know that I'm allowed to do so. And you're just like sitting there and like, hey, Judge, what is doing? It's like, hey, he's still playing his turn out. He's not just like wasting time or stuff, or just like not looking on the wall and waiting until he's doing a move. He's just using the moves, but the moving's taking like forever. And that's like one of the downsides. So that's why I like the time thing from BGA in general. Because you have a fixed time, and if you're not being able to finish it with the time, then in that case, as we can see, you're still losing the game, even if you're being in a favor match. So that's the case.
Yeah, exactly. As you mentioned there, then Moondust managing to lose to their own deck in this case. It did look incredibly powerful. It's doing something incredibly strong, and it looked dominating there. But unfortunately, it just takes a little bit too much time to execute there. And so they didn't manage to close that one out, despite the amazing position they were in.
Yeah, that's true. And I know what I'm talking because I've played control decks on Pokemon 2, and I took my time for every step. Because I know it will be either a draw or like a 1-win, at least for me. So, and I've got like every opponent was like actually really pissed about me. I remember one tournament. There were like actually a time that no one talked to me like during the whole day, because they were completely frustrated. But anyway, the third round started, so we can take time to watch another match. And saying and losing, I was thinking of at one time to actually joining one of our teammates so we can stream curse them.
You know, that's always an option. There's also a very curseable kohlrabi that's playing today, so that's always an option as well.
That's special. Which table is the?
The very curseable kohlrabi is on table 21 playing against Myanhe.
Okay, so I will blindly click on one of the tables and oh no, I joined in, and oh no, I got to the game, oh no. And I switched the scene and hello, Cole.
That is truly tragic.
Oh man, now I rejoined you, so I'm sorry.
You know, it happens sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes happen. As you can see, it was a mistake like all the time, so I couldn't do like anything against it. I have a meeting in 5 minutes, so I must just mute you. No.
Notably, this is a matchup between two Tasia aficionados in Cole and Myanhe both. They're both known for playing primarily Tasia. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what's going on here. Pretty cool, unique that's already come out from Myanhe is this Capellia that draws cards.
Yeah,
that's particularly cool because it does have that Capellia effect in the Muna faction. When it goes to reserve from the expedition zone, they get to replay it for free and it gets asleep. And when it's played from anywhere, you get to draw a card. And so that means you end up at the end of the day only having to spend a total of 3 mana for 2 card draws from it, which is a really, really cool card.
It's true. It's like a really nice card, and I saw like so many options. So like beside the fact that seeing teacher decks where there has like just like the mass anchoring uniques and stuff like that, there are like so many other cases that I saw like recently. It was like either just like drawing out cards or either just like resupplying all the time. And it's interesting to see like a variety of like uniques that actually fitting in the deck and actually working out pretty well. So it's nice to see that we're like actually move to the next set where you can see, okay, there's like only like this one option that you can play out, and you're always like winning every time with it. So there are like many options that you're doing. And also like to mention, there was also like the option that you can playing out boosting uniques where you're just like almost entire boosting, you're completely bored, and it's okay for you because you have cheap anchoring cards that actually being just like as commons or like a rares in the deck. So interesting and to see what Teacher is. So I like Teacher because there is so a variety of how to play the deck actually, and it's amazing to see.
It's true.
It's amazing to see.
And
yeah.
Interestingly, although this game already looks pretty favored for our bottom Tasia player with the aloe vera that stuck around over that past turn and having gotten the double draw off the Capellia, it's worth noting that Kohlrabi, our top Tasia, did manage to start the game with a tiny Jin opener. So finding a little bit of mana ramp to start off the game definitely puts them in a pretty good position, actually.
It's
and
true.
largely thanks to this other unique that they had, it also has a draw card effect, this Mowgli. When it leaves the expedition zone, if it has one or more boosts, draw a card. Synergizes super well with the Tasia hero ability, giving it a boost if it's the first card that's played in each turn. And interestingly, it threatens to actually potentially contest that companion side. Most heroes at this point would be considering just giving up on that companion side, at least for this turn, given how there's already a bunch of stats in play from the bottom Tasia. But not only does Cole have a mana advantage here, they could actually potentially try to contest on that side still, given the spike stat that the Mowgli has. And overall, it's going to be a card-efficient play for them to do so, because when it leaves the expedition zone at the end of the turn, they'll get to draw off of it. So that's really cool.
And we see the Mowgli will be played out again for starting off, and now our Miani at our bottom Tasia player will being able to either just like playing out the aloe vera strong card as usual for Tasia in general, being able to getting like those strong stats. And now it's the turn for our Cole, so let's see what he will play.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen so much raw card advantage come out of a Tasia mirror before. This is pretty impressive.
It's interesting.
Oftentimes, Tasia with multiple early plays, cards like Spindle Harvesters, Ogun, that sort of thing, really being sort of difficult on the card advantage end and reliant on like cards like rare Spindle Harvesters to resupply them back some more card advantage, as well as cards like Aloe Vera, which we are seeing in this case from Myeonhee. But yeah, in this case, both players with the card advantage uniques definitely gives a new dynamic to these sort of openers. They're not super reliant on the rare Spindle Harvesters effect, for example, in this specific instance, but notably, Cole does lose one progression there where he's unable to progress, and the bottom Tasia Myeonhee is having to Lost in the Woods to get rid of that aloe vera there. I understand why. It's the sort of thing that you have to do at some point if you don't want threats to continuously stick around. And notably, that card Lost in the Woods needs to be played when people are on forest expeditions as well. So sometimes you're a little bit pressured to just get rid of things when you can. But definitely now we're starting to favor slightly Myeonhee. But again, both players working with a lot of resources. This one's nowhere close to over yet.
Yes, it's true. So that's just the case. And also what I realized directly when I see like Tasia in general, I think beside like promos, like for example a Kochu that you could play almost with like any uniques that fits like in the deck in general. I also had got like the feeling when I remember of playing like against Tasia in the last couple of days. It's also one of those decks that's not actually unique reliable, that you don't need like specific uniques that the deck is running, because you can almost play like everything also on Tasia if it fits well in the deck of like depending on cost and stuff like that. So it's nice to see like many Tasias being out more, because it's always nice if we have like decks in general, also just like for more casually players or like casual related players, that they actually can play a deck and still getting like succeed with it. It's amazing.
You heard it here, guys. PaandyAndy calling all Tasia players casuals
Yes,
live on stream.
Yes, I will say it. Casual, you are casual players. Yeah, I say it. You cannot be competitive with uniques that are not cost like 800 euros. I'm saying.
My bullying Pandy aside, no, absolutely, actually a pretty reasonable hero. I do think in many cases that the deck has looked less good than it might actually be, because it is really popular with new players as well, meaning that sometimes it will skew the statistics that people gather related to decks in general, where if you have a bunch of new players who are playing one deck, not another, the win rates are going to be worse, of course. So that's one of the struggles with data gathering in this game. Notably, this past turn, though, there was one small mistake here made from Kohlrabi. They did have the chance, with full information of how the mana had already been spent by Myeonhee,
Yes.
If they had played out their Spindle Harvesters first here, thanks to the boost that it would get from the Spindle Muna Bastion, they would have been able to trigger their at noon resupply effect for having 2 or more boosts, but it ended up being the Dracana that got more boosts. Interestingly, I do think there's actually some situations where that's still sort of reasonable. And the reason why I say that is it almost baits removal, or potential removal at least, from Yanhee to go after the Dracana instead of that Spindle Harvesters.
Yeah.
And that Spindle Harvesters, if there is the ability for it to get anchored, for example, is going to be a much bigger long-term threat than the Dracana, because it has that ability to resupply over time. But I don't know if missing a resupply this turn is worth that. But yeah, this is definitely a cool play now coming out from Kohlrabi. It's one of their favorite at the moment, is the Yeti with Asleep. Yeah, looking to do things over time here, but they're already under a lot of pressure now from the bottom Tasia, given that they are definitely the expedition ahead and trying to push for progressions at this point.
It's true, and now we see like a cool boat over there, and like with the Yeti right now that's been playing out, so being able to playing out the Caesar from getting additional boost, but there we go. It's actually the Esmeralda, and when I get one or more boost, if you control one or more landmarks up to one target character with hand cost 3 or less, other damage gains anchored. Interesting. And target character you control with hand cost 4 or less gains Asleep, so being able to actually sticking to another card, and you could just like easily doing the Krakina put to sleep because you're still being able to actually progressing, but it's actually the Esmeralda.
Believe it or not,
yeah,
the player who opened this unique, I believe, was me.
Yes, it's your unique.
I'm pretty sure this is the one that I traded with Cole. I definitely got a very cool Axiom Salvager out of the deal that has been
never touched
mostly
again.
stolen from me by my lovely teammates. But I believe that is that one. I could be wrong there, but it did have the landmark restriction and was potentially like an anchoring unique here to anchor other characters. Notably, that landmark restriction, definitely still a significant one. It can be really hard for Tasia to play enough landmarks to get that effect regularly, but when it's good, it's really good, especially because one of the key landmarks that Tasia loves to play is that Spindle Muna Bastion, which makes it harder to remove your crazy anchored threats. And you will make a lot of them when you are able to give everything boosts with this Esmeralda. So that's really sweet.
It's true. Okay, so here it is. If Cole is winning the game, it's actually also Killen that's winning the game.
In a way, I'm living vicariously through the uniques of mine that I've traded all around Altered at this point. So absolutely.
Yeah. No, it's interesting, but it's actually I've also saw like sometimes some uniques that I've recently like sold on the marketplace, that I was joining the tournament and I was like, hey, I know this. I remember that I've traded it like on the first week when I opened it or stuff like that. So interesting. So now we will see the Floritent will be played out back again, getting another resupply as Chiron. That's also a favorite to being resupplied in that case. And it's getting better and better, so let's see who both of them are getting the spot. Yeah,
it's worth noting as well that unique, typically you might anchor a couple things a turn with that sort of effect, like one from the Tasia ability itself, the hero ability, giving the first character you play each afternoon a boost. But notably, this Yeti that Kohlrabi slept the last turn, incredibly threatening there, meaning that anything that is played now from the oh, never mind. It's unfortunately it's whenever the Esmeralda gets a boost that it turns to anchor. Unfortunately, it's not when a character gains a one or more boosts.
Sadly,
which would absolutely go crazy. But in this case, Chiron is sort of the perfect card anyway, giving the boost to something else, but also to the Esmeralda. Oh my goodness! But we have a potential just Lyra Festival win here from Yanhee that they're threatening. Let's see if Kohlrabi has another removal spell, or whether they're going to be very sad that they used that early Lost in the Woods against the character.
Yeah, okay, that's crazy. That is crazy. So if there would be not a removal as you mentioned, then GG. Or it would be funny if actually Cole also just like playing out the Lyra Festival now.
It's true. They would be missing the sleeping though. That's
Yeah.
incredible, and it's so funny because
Oh,
there
that's
is exactly enough mana for if they did have a different removal spell to go after a character here,
yeah.
even through the Spindle Muna Bastions of Mianus. But it does really seem like that Lost in the Woods having gone after an Aloe Vera a little bit earlier in the game, although definitely looking like a play that Kohlrabi wanted to get rid of. It's it seems to be punished here by this Lyra Festival play. That's
crazy.
impressive.
So GG. And it's actually good that Miani finished it with like that, because with this bot state would be actually hard to play against.
I agree.
It's
That
crazy.
Yeti almost went off with the Esmeralda together. That was crazy.
Yes. So GG to both of them. So at least we've got the win of stream cursing.
We did.
Go,
That's true.
we did everything that we want to. So now it will be another time for another table. There are like plenty of tables that's still playing. So
I'd say maybe 14 doesn't have so much progression on it.
oh yeah, Guips.
That's a good username. Yeah.
Yeah.
Guips.
Guips against Povalpo. Yeah. The curse works. Please don't watch me. And here we go, freeloader. You know, it's like basically it's like an AQC stream right now. So we need to at least watch one of our teammates. We need to. And
Torvalpo most
yeah.
recently
Oh.
having results on this Rin deck of theirs, actually, but currently having a hard time against this Basira,
Yes.
who is now adjacent on expeditions. The one upside for the Rin at this point is that they do have this Yeti sticking around in play, but
Yeah.
currently just the cards from Basira are so threatening from reserve, but they're also working with 9 mana versus the Rin's 7 at this point. So it's going
Yeah.
to be very much an uphill battle. The cards need to be sort of perfect off the top of Rin's deck to be able to prevent the Basira from winning here.
It's true. And it's interesting. It's like the second Basira that we see there. And it's looking good for Basira right now. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Seeing in the Basira's discard, there's a really cool
Yeah.
Haven Warrior unique for 2 mana that at dusk, if it has 1 or more boosts, gets to draw them a card. And that card can go off really well with cards like Helping Hand, which definitely gives a few more really nice lines to the deck outside of potentially like A.W.O.L looping, for example, which is something that oftentimes Basira players are trying to do, just playing A.W.O.L again and again and exhaust things from reserve to continuously tax the resources of their opponents. But yeah, definitely looks like there's some cool lines that this deck might be enabling through the card draw.
Yes. Now we see the check first will be played out, so being able to exhaust the Prowess Vanguard. So maybe this will happen a little bit around. So let's see if this would be the case. So okay. Now we can see the full board, guys. So back to the game. And now we will see that the up to 1 target character gains a sleep.
But notably only when played from reserve here, which unfortunately for the Rin might be necessary just this turn already to shut down this A.W.O.L a little bit.
So there will be Chiron, so an additional boost. We're going on to another character. And I don't want to say that this isn't GG for our Basira, but it has like no chance. Yeah, it's all to actually defending on both progressions. So GG to our Basira, to Guips.
Yeah, pretty reasonably high in elo as well with that Basira. Pretty cool. I'm excited to see more Basira hanging out in the top decks, and maybe we'll continue seeing it this tournament a little bit later even. But yeah, I think the Basira has struggled a little bit to find the results that a lot of people were really excited for about the deck, given the Trial by Frost set supporting the hero a good bit actually, with cards like A.W.O.L, for example. But overall, I think people are finally starting to figure out some ways to build those decks to really make it run. So that's cool to see.
Yeah. And it's also cool to see that we still got time for so many tables to take a look on that, because there's so many. Oh, Too many players. It's crazy. It's just like crazy to scroll and scroll and scroll, and there's like no end.
I'm loving it. This
Yeah.
massive size events for
Yeah.
cool weeklies. It's exciting.
It's-
Altered community is growing.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go. It's amazing. So when will be the time that the locacy will crop? Or the time will become. The time will become. I'm sure. So maybe if you want, we could go to table 60 and watch some play from Runefolk, because I'm sure that he's actually playing Raru.
Oh boy.
I'm sure. that
Oh
he
no.
will play Raru.
Oh yes, he's on Lindaway. This makes me very happy.
Wait, what?
Yes. I've heard that he wanted to try out Lindaway.
No.
I've been singing the praises of this deck for
Yeah.
few days now. I'm a fan. I think this is the real deal, and I'm very excited about it. But yeah, playing against a Fen at the moment, things are not looking the best for Runefolk.
Yeah.
I think they have a couple advantages that are going on at the moment, given that they do have a unique that does threaten to return spells here, but also the ability to make Maw this turn, synergize it with Baba's Isba, definitely threatening here. But yeah, this one could be really close though still. Magpang Hoarder, definitely nice to be able to get in a couple additional cards here. It does get a couple boosts from the cool from hand ability that has to roll a die. It's the Ouroboros Trickster ability that we've seen earlier on the Ouroboros Trickster card, of course. But notably, this Inkcaster in reserve for the Fen, with that support ability here, does threaten to potentially be able to play something else of pretty big impact this turn. So I do think Lindaway likely has a few lines here that they might be able to use to actually find even a double advance this turn. But there is still significant threat, and they could just lose pretty much on the spot if the Fen is able to find a single expedition win due to the threat of small step. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. And actually, it's like, again, did we see those Magpang Hoarder as uniques? Is there a thing why they are so loved to be played out, or is maybe like the case during like opening like displays from set 2 that they're like actually just like being around, and so you have like take a shot, because they seem pretty amazing, because the case of having 2 cards in reserve, it's almost like every time for Fen. So it's actually completely okay if you have like this condition in general. That's amazing for now. It's good to see. I like it.
It's true. I have a feeling it's just Magpang Hoarder is one of these cards that at the right sort of mana costs that you're looking for can get very strong effects and potential, like card draw or spell return in a lot of cases. I have a feeling that that's very relevant as an additional card advantage tool for Fen that isn't reliant on sticking around for a turn the way that Aloe Vera is potentially.
Ooh.
But yeah, notably here, this turn's actually going to go the way of Lindaway's, thanks to the the amazing fact of this Baba's Isba plus hero ability from Lindaway, making Maw here, sacrificing Chrysalis. That is 2 moth, by the way, on that hero side, and then the companion side, Maw getting the boosts from having sacrificed a character. Wow, what a turn. And yeah, that Hathor, unfortunately for Fava 1, wasn't really able to do anything.
Yeah. And now I realized, Rune, we wanted to stream cause you. Why are you typing please FF? It's not working.
Yeah, it's true. No, Rune has also said GG in the chat, so presumably they have small step in hand at this point as well. Fen, having been unable to find a progression themselves, they would have the first opportunity to play a small step if they had one, but unfortunately, because of the fact that they didn't find an expedition, that isn't even a threat to Runefolk here. That Kodama, really cool card, did gain a ton of boosts there and does stick around. So, the board looks good for Fen, but, it doesn't really matter when there's a board in play. Small step, giant leap to win the game. Woohoo! We love small step, everyone, right? Let's celebrate.
I've waited so long. That
We've never said that one before.
Yeah, we never said that. Yeah, like for that day, that's true. It's actually true. But oh boy, I've waited so long. Nah. Could like be the patch notes already tomorrow, and not at the end of the week. Isn't like the patch note will not come out this week? Could it be?
I think it's
back on next
if I
week.
remember correctly, like the 21st or something.
21st. Yeah.
I could be wrong. At least I have it in my mind that I will be able to play any of the decks of my choosing without anything having changed on Wednesday's A.W.O.L. So I'm hoping that I'll still get a chance to run through everything that I have that I want if I wish to. But yeah, we'll see. I think they did say something about the 21st, but could be wrong there.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Don't trust me.
I'm just hoping that like something like the Haven will come back for Traced, so I can finally play her. I've traded like 3 awesome uniques for her, and one day later, like the patch just came around, and I was like, no way. It was like actually my only trim that I played this deck. At least I've played like 5 rounds with the deck, and I was happy. I was actually really happy.
If we can, let's hop into table 59.
59. Yeah, we can. Yeah. Let's go in.
This one is going pretty long here, but I imagine that it won't for much longer. One player having a double Nylum in play, and the other with a Grand Endeavor out. So things are happening. The Afanis is threatening a potential win pretty much right away here, but a Sigmar, if they're able to stall both expeditions and win on one of them, they would win themselves the next turn. So actually a really threatening spot here for both players. Notably, the Afanis is reasonably low on cards, and the cards that they do have in reserve are very difficult to play from reserve at the moment, given that they cost a lot of mana to play from there, that being Beauty Sleep and Off You Go. In this matchup already, those are hard cards to play from hand, even in a lot of cases. Beauty Sleep, not super good when players are playing Rallying Call so frequently as we are seeing now. And Off You Go in general, not really the removal that you want to be using against a bunch of 1 and 2 costs, but those cards are even worse when they cost 3 and 4 mana instead of 1 and 2. So I'm a little bit worried for Afanis here, even though things look very good for them on board.
That's right. And the only hope for our Afanis right now is one card. It's like also like the most favorite card that I have in the game in general. I'm honest. It's also like, I would say if you're not winning with this card, then your win is like almost not counting on everything. I mean, I'm just saying, if you're not playing the specific card, then it's just like cringe, to win it without it. Because it's like so hard to win with this card. Oh my goodness, it's so hard actually. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Ban Small Step Giant Leap, please ban. Remove.
We've never seen anyone win with Grand Endeavor or Small Step Giant Leap before, and these players likely playing both. But it's worth noting that this Afanis build is a Nylum Afanis, and I do think that Nylum could be a really good card for them this turn. If they had one, they would be able to make 3 moths off of it, which could be a really good way of contesting. 4 mana for 6 in total stats spread across 3 characters as well to insulate a little bit from removal. That could definitely be a big help, and they do have it, the 3rd Nylum.
It's crazy. It is crazy. They're really a lot. I
had a pretty crazy run last week of managing to predict virtually all of the cards that were played sort of constantly throughout the day, and I'm happy to be continuing with the predictions here. That makes me very happy.
It's amazing. It's nice to see. So let's see if our Sigmar got like any chance of being able to defending that, but also with the Beauty Sleep, I would say it's actually a hard case to beating those. So we see the Fragments will be played out on the Hero Expedition, and there it is, the GG, and I would guess...
Wow.
I would guess that's it.
Yeah, that looks like it's probably it then, really. The 3rd Nylum there coming in super clutch. Not only was it so important, it was very clear for the Sigmar that their plan this turn was to use that Ortis Spy to get rid of the potential removal for their token spamming unique in the Ortis Cadets, and finding a way to exhaust that Ortis Cadets in the reserve there. Super critical. It's likely that Rhymefrost could have done it as well. It was likely the case that it wasn't just the one of Nylum left in the Afanis' deck that could have won it for them there. But
Yeah.
wow, that's a really close way to find a win.
Yeah, so GG. And Justin Turning wrote down, let's us do a prediction battle with an official judge, but the players need to rate for letting us typing it. So basically you play somehow Pokemon with like 2 other players where you're typing in play that card and then the card will be played, or it's more like of the guessing way. but it's also like that would be an interesting tournament. Like a Pokemon battle arena. Okay, so GG to both of them. So still like
I
2
think it's
tables.
one table left, yeah, something like
Yeah.
that. And we're very close to the end of the round at this point, with the games having started over 30 minutes ago now. So that
Yeah.
does mean that we're momentarily going to be seeing the end of all these games as we go into round 4.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is a pretty close battle going on between a Kojo and a Rin player currently.
Yes.
But that one also looks like it's rough. Both players at -5 seconds and 5 seconds respectively.
Yes, it's true. So I would say we can join table 18 because this is like the least progress table by far.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah, as it seems now. But okay, here we go. This seems really good for our coach here and play. Amazing uniques. Okay. Hey, board games, let me read it. Yeah, amazing uniques. Those uniques are looking really, really cool. That's
And
nice to see.
we're barely getting to see them here because it looks like this double advance from Kojo does lock it up. It was on the back of some pretty cool boosty
Yeah.
uniques there to get a bunch of extra stats in the nick of time. And I really do say in the nick of time because that I think that game brings us to our next round. That was
Yeah.
close one.
Hmm.
Oh no, not quite. We're still waiting on one more table actually. So
Yes?
yeah, maybe a minute left, I believe.
Yeah. Which table? It's table 11. Oh, team battle. Marcus is on phone. Oh, it was typing in the chat. It's interesting. Okay. And that's it. All right.
Wow, it looks like Cladius managed to sneak a win by exactly 1 stat point on Forest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
that's a thing.
we take it. That's okay. So we're already being on round 4. That's amazing. So round 4, round 5, 6. So 3 rounds left that we're being able to watch, and there's still around 100. Actually, 128 players are still playing in the tournament. And now it's like the most excited time for me because I need to go to toilet actually. So you can choose the table and then I will quickly go to toilet and come back.
Hit me with table 7. Let's go.
Table 7. Okay, all right. Here we go. Oh, never knew the player before. That's interesting. So Hoppa and Trapper. So at least I want to see what we will see right now. And I hope it will be like a mirror match between Afanas. That would be amazing now. So I can stay forever on the toilet.
If I remember correctly from having played Bijutak on ladder before, at least, I believe
Yeah.
they had, I think at the point, a really cool Kodama unique that I remembered, but
Ooh.
in this case, it looks like they're playing Ortis today. It looks like a Sigmar deck from them using a couple of both token producer uniques, but
Yeah.
also these resupply uniques that we're starting to see come out of Sigmar sometimes as well.
Oh,
And
cool.
then from Bota, we have a plant-based deck here in the Tasia and Nora.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So I need to be fast because this is a nice matchup. So Keelan, you can take over alone.
Yeah,
Have fun.
absolutely. Well, this is definitely a super interesting matchup in general. Notably, I think really important cards for Tasia likely involve the Spindle Muna Bastion. Sigismar is a deck that in general threatens double advances early on to the game very, very strongly and virtually can always find a way to do so, especially against many of the draws from a Tasia. Oftentimes, a really strong opener for a Tasia and sort of an average opener for a Tasia might look like playing a Dracana on turn 1 that would then get anchored and a boost, which is a nice way of starting off the turn. But the threat of a player who's on Sigismar to both remove that Dracana and double advance themselves, and then continue to threaten to do so again and again, really strong in a lot of cases. It's worth noting as well, cards like Aloe Vera, despite not gaining anchored when played on turn 1 here, are actually really deceptively strong into the matchup as well, given that there's a lot more tiny jails as removal that are going around, and the card Teamwork Training, the other classic Sigismar removal, can sometimes struggle on the first turn to find a way to hit a card that costs 3 or more. So, as it stands, looks like a 1-for-1 trade. And that's actually the sort of thing that can often favor a Tasia a little bit here. Any turn that you're preventing double advances from Sigismar, it's likely a good thing, but I think the main pressure is going to be on Tasia to find some lasting advantage that can stick around on the board. Either this Aloe Vera being replayed onto a good expedition with the anchored effect, that would be helpful, or otherwise setting up some other anchored characters might be pretty important. But over time, I think there's a very high chance that the card, the Spindle Munibastion, might become really relevant, or the lack of it might also be really relevant. Oftentimes, Sigismar threatening between tiny jails, teamwork training, and then the Sandman as well to really just go off thanks to their removal. Notably, Sigismar is one of these decks that does sort of threaten to turn removal into expedition progressions on their own and as a virtually 1-for-1 trade. The fact that Sigismar does get a free character every single turn in their hero expedition does end up meaning that a lot of the turns of the game, especially while players aren't able to play multiple characters out or aren't able to play multiple onto at least one expedition, removal spells from Sigismar then suddenly take on the effect of just get rid of the only relevant thing, and as an exchange there, they find a progression. It's a super low cost and one of the best ways of using removal at the moment. Sigismar now leveraging the crazy massive characters that we've come to associate with the hero. But it's worth noting they do find that double advance there, but Tasia does manage to stick an Aloe Vera onto a very good expedition for it, given that both players are now contesting the hero side there, and the hero side is currently on a water terrain where Aloe Vera is natively incredibly strong. So we're going to see here if this is a critical turn for the Sigismar to have some removal. Probably would have to be teamwork training to go after this Aloe Vera at the moment. But depending on how this turn goes, it could actually end up favoring the Tasia a little bit if they're able to set up a little bit more card advantage even. And prevent a double advance from Sigismar here would be really critical.
Yes.
Another big dynamic that we keep seeing, welcome back, Pandy, by the way,
Yeah,
is the
continue.
fact that there's oftentimes a big discrepancy between Sigismar decks at the moment, whether they're playing Monolith versus Grand Endeavor. And sometimes these things can be difficult to fight against in different ways. And here we're seeing the classic Grand Endeavor play discounted by one full day, actually, thanks to this Foundry mechanic that's in reserve, which is an incredibly strong play. But it's worth noting here that that's actually only going to put them one turn ahead in terms of where they're at on the Tumult. And the Tasia has managed to stick multiple anchored characters this turn. So despite the fact that Grand Endeavor, it's a really good card to play when you are 2 or more expeditions ahead especially, but Tasia has a lot of good chances here, either to find multiple double progressions of their own, but otherwise to find a way to deal with this Grand Endeavor, even though it has that tough 2 on the landmark by default. That rare Grand Endeavor having that ability makes it so hard to remove, but sometimes if you're the Tasia here, you might be able to find a expedition concession even that is worth it to get rid of Grand Endeavor and prevent that damage over time sort of effect that it does have. How you doing, Pandy?
I'm looking over the board to see what's going on. But what I can see for now on, it seems pretty good. I mean, actually, the first case for our Sigmar being able to activating the Grand Edward up, I mean, that early with the foundry mechanic, as I can see, what is actually always amazing, and still being able to actually also being further with the expeditions, like during the companion. And now we can see like a nice Orders Gatekeeper create an Orders Recruit Soldier token in each of your expeditions, and run another non-token character joins the expeditioner. And if you control 3 or more characters, then you create an additional Orders Recruit in the expedition. So again, a nice token spammer. And for our teacher right now, we see the classic Splinter Mooner best that will be played out. So not only being able to actually defend somehow your cards on the board, it's also getting like an additional boost. So as you can see right now, the Orders Trooper will be played out. So another Orders Recruit will be there. And in that cases, I'm always like hoping that there will be a charge at some point. But I've learned that charge is not the played card anymore.
Yep.
Okay.
You
If you
are
think so, Sigmar players, I would say charge still OP. Don't change my mind. Change my mind.
Nah, rallying
No,
call all the
Running
way,
call,
my
yeah, running
friend.
call, running call,
know-
and charge.
I'm not trying to say in any way that the
Mhm.
configuration of Bijutak's deck is wrong by not including the monolith. It's just worth noting that this Ordis Gatekeeper unique that they currently have in play would go so crazy with the monolith in comparison to this Grand Endeavor. I mean, of course, it looks amazing on board at this given moment as well, just threatening to take multiple expedition progressions here, although it does make the character on the other side by necessity, so they're potentially not going to be able to contest the companion side further here. But notably, the fact that this is a token spammer unique that also creates 2 Ordis recruits when you play it, 1 in each expedition, means it would absolutely go crazy if they did have that charge effect that the monolith brings. So sort of a super sweet unique, just not necessarily at its best with the Grand Endeavor here, but it is doing its best effort at the moment to try to find expedition progressions, and expedition progressions do synergize very well with Grand Endeavor. Anything that wins you expeditions synergizes well with Grand Endeavor.
And that's huge that we can see at least that Bota will be able to progressing through the companion expedition and blocking it, so the Grand Endeavor will not directly turning into a small step giant leap 3 win in that case, but still it's like a good favor like for Bichitao?
I'm saying Bijutak, but I could be totally wrong on that.
So we're using another name, so we have 2 now. Bijutak, it sounds amazing. Still being like in a favor matchup for like as a Sigmar for right now in that game, because there's like the thing of you don't need to actually progressing like on both expeditions. You still could like continuing on spamming on one side and just like being able to get the game out. And to mention like on the Grand Endeavor is always that at some point maybe like people also forgetting in some cases is like the toughness of 2 from the cards. So even if there would be play out in the Lost in the Woods, you almost like in that case still like on 7 mana for the turn, you potentially sacrificing like a whole turn just to removing the Grand Endeavor. Also like being in that favor, this is like not cool, not good to see right now. It's like actually really hard. So
unfortunately for our Tasia player here, the fact that they weren't able to find a way to get any closer than they were or be able to threaten a double advance win this turn means that they're essentially just dead to this triple small step giant leap that was played on the 3rd turn of the game, or the third day of the game rather. I say triple small step giant leap because now Grand Endeavor will have found them as if the Sigmar didn't win the game this turn here, they would simply win the next day at noon with it, as a 3rd sort of small step to move forward those progressions. Multiple token spammer uniques out for the Sigmar means it's incredibly unlikely they will need that 3rd effect of that Grand Endeavor. The 2 that had already got them was plenty. It's worth noting sometimes as well that Sigmar can run out of resources reasonably early.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you're spending that high amount of mana for a landmark can actually give the Sigmar a lot more gas in terms of cards
Yeah.
that they draw back into their hand, because taking a turn off to play it functionally just gives them more cards to play as well. So the thing that's virtually never the case after you play a card like Grand Endeavor, you essentially will always have a really good follow-up the next turn. I think that's one of the things that's so strong about the Sigmar deck at the moment as well. Not only are they the deck that is best able to use expensive permanents due to the fact that they always are threatening the advance with whatever characters they have, that they always have on that hero side, but in general, the fact that even if they are conceding a bunch of resources to take the early expeditions that makes the permanent so good, they will then have more resources to keep fighting after they play it. So yeah, looking really strong here, and decent board ends up coming out for Tasia here. Really insulated from removal thanks to that Spindle Bastion, but everything just came out so quickly for Sigmar. It's a commanding performance.
It's like amazing, and I just want like that we take like a close look to those Orders cadets because I like them. It's like they have like the condition of the thing of if you have less than 8 mana orbs. And I would say like there was like a case back like in season 1 where it was actually like matters because you got like so many abilities as a Sigmar that you wanted to go further than 8 manas or like being on 8 mana in general. But right now it's also just like simply enough to stay under that. So I just want to say like out to the chat, I want to tell you, if you want to play Sigmar and you want to take a look on maybe like also like cheaper uniques that during like a token spend, then take a look on those mana condition cards because they're most of the time they're actually really cheap in the marketplace, cheaper than any other token spammer. And I would say sometimes people thinking like that are like actually worse conditions, but I can tell you there's like not that many cases that actually a Sigmar would go further than 8 mana in many games. So that are like actually amazing cards that you can play, and we can see like that as an example for the cost of Run 2. I can tell you because I'm running like Orders Cadet for myself too, and I would say I never had like a problem with this condition. So if you're looking for a cheap condition token spammer for one of the most favorite deck that it's played like since day one, I would say, then take a look on those. It's actually cool. Just want to help out a little bit. Yeah,
let's jump into table 13, by the way.
13. Oh, after you against Caballo. Okay, let's go into it.
Yeah, we have Victor Motta from Team After You playing against Caballo.
Ooh.
I just wanted to jump in here. We're seeing one of the strongest Spindle Harvester uniques in the game, by the way, currently facing off against some incredibly strong other effects as well. Notably, a token spammer that creates 2 Ordis recruits in its own expedition, but also draws cards is really sweet here from Victor Motta. This is pretty much as high tier as it gets for uniques from both players. There can be some nuanced difference sometimes where certain things are better than others, but this looks like an incredibly competitive match. It's worth noting as well, there are a bunch of team altered aces on the top the top tables right now. I saw going into this round, there were at least 5 players from altered aces who were still undefeated. And I know at least 4 of those players were in matches against other altered aces players this round. So trust me, we will be seeing more of them in the next couple rounds. So don't feel like we're prioritizing other people at the moment and giving favoritism to some other teams. No, we have you on the list. You'll be showing up on stream very soon.
And if you want to take over like all tournaments and putting them to like alternate aces tournament, just tell us, guys. You can take over. You're too much. You're too many players. We cannot defend it. It's okay. It's okay.
A really critical removal spell just came out there in the teamwork training, hitting that Katagirian Mage Dancer from the Aphanas.
That's
really is now making me worry for Aphanas in this position. Notably, Sigmar very low on resources still, but at this point they will be threatening a single expedition win in order to win the game. Aphanas needing to manage still a double advance plus small step giant leap, or otherwise 3 advances in order to take it themselves. And that can be super tough against Sigmar, especially when Sigmar threatens cards like potentially Sandman, as well as other removal spells that can threaten to win the game on their own. And sometimes Afanis decks can be a little bit resource light in terms of characters to play, meaning that removal spells against the deck do work pretty well. Despite how strong these, Spindle Harvesters being able to return spells in a lot of cases, that can be really relevant. But if they don't have enough characters, they can simply lose to the Sigmar. Yeah, really good timing finding that removal as well, because that Katagiran Mage Dancer that was in play is the rare version, meaning that the helping hand that went onto it, giving it a total of 3 boosts, means that the Afanis would have been able to draw a card at dusk as well with it otherwise, so preventing any little bit of resource gain here from the Afanis definitely is a nice thing for Sigmar at this point. But I think the Afanis should be able to play here in a way to expose minimal things of theirs, or minimal relevant characters of theirs at least, to removal from the Sigmar. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's true. And I just want to tell how disgusting is the Spindle Harvester. That's crazy.
Oh yeah, this is one of the best I've ever seen. Absolutely.
And I'm so sorry. I don't know if like the Spindle Harvester were getting like maybe a nerf on the patch notes. I don't know, guys. I don't.
I hope that all 1 mana uniques get the axe, but we'll see. I don't know.
We'll see. Maybe increasing like the mana cost at some point, but I'm not sure. But it's actually I feel so sorry because those cards are looking amazing, and I'm happy like actually for every player that's being able to just like draw them out of a booster, or just like bought them through the marketplace. But I would say after the big Robin Hood incidents, this were hurting. This would be like a really big pain if this were get suspended, because I would say now this card around 500 to 700 for that card.
Yep, I would sort of agree on that price point.
Yeah.
I do think, I mean, to be fair, over the last couple days, we've seen a lot of people trying to sell their very high tier Spindle Harvester uniques.
Yeah.
So that's absolutely likely to be dropping very heavily. But the reason why a card like this is so good is specifically because of matchup dynamics like the one that we're currently seeing. Sigmar normally is one of the best decks against Afanis, and the reason being, cards like Tiny Jail absolutely ruin the typical Afanis gameplay strategy. Oh, wow, and yeah, teamwork training coming out here. Huge timing, but there is definitely some opportunity here with removal spells from Afanis to find a way to stall here still. But it's definitely going to be hard. It needs to be off you go, probably plus multiple beauty sleeps, something like that. Potentially helping hand plus beauty sleep, something thereabouts, which is doable. Just definitely a difficult situation to be in. But yeah, overall, the matchup dynamic problem that this 1-cost Spindle Harvesters brings is that normally Sigmar gets to sort of win the game against the crazy Afanis draws that do have these crazy spell return uniques plus a spell to open up the game by saying, I will play a 1-mana character, remove your Spindle Harvesters, double advance, and then threaten to do the same thing next turn. And unfortunately for them, in this sort of scenario, where the Afanis plays out one of the best uniques in the game here in the 1-cost Spindle Harvesters, if they do that, the Afanis just replays the 1-mana Spindle Harvesters, plays their spell anyway, and returns it. And it completely warps the dynamic of virtually any removal interaction with the card, outside of things that directly discard to discard instead of to reserve. And even then, those effects cost so much mana typically in order to play that they're unplayable against a card like the Spindle Harvesters. So I'm all in on the ban all 1-mana uniques line, but in this case, the crazy unique wasn't enough to beat the Sigmar here. Looks like the teamwork training removal was good enough.
It was good enough, and it was a nice game, and nice for mentioning it. And I just want to take your word, guys. You can see it. So when I was in the local, there was like players, they were only like one time and just like trying out Outwit, and there open it like one display and building up decks. And then there was a player that had like this unique. It's the same Spindle Harvester with the almost same it's like the same condition, but it costs 2 instead of 1. And he drew it out of the booster, and I was talking about with him. And it was a crazy story because he didn't like get any clue about like pricing those cards. And he was like, yeah, I'm looking for some prowess uniques. And then he saw some that I've played, and he was like, yeah, if you want, we can trade it with the Spindle Harvester. And it was like, I would say like a 10 euro unique that I played, and I was like, dude, are you making like a joke or something? He's like, no, I don't like the Spindle Harvester either. I wouldn't play it in my deck anyway. And I was looking to him, and I was like, I'm so happy that you talked about with me with this thing, because I can tell you right now, this card is like worth around 500. And he was like, actually, and then we wrote like on WhatsApp, that's why I had like the picture of the card. And I told him, go to the marketplace, put it down for 600. I can tell you around 1 to 2 days you were selling it. And then he was just like putting it in on the marketplace, and I remember like a couple of hours later he was writing it, yeah, I've sold it for like 600, as you said, thank you so much. And I was like, yeah, so where's my money? No, just kidding. But it was like actually crazy, and I was like, and then I was starting off like, I would say there are like so many players on locals that like don't have like Discord or using anything, and they have like so busted uniques. And I'm waiting for the marketplace to getting online on the app, so we can take more look for it. Yeah. Yeah,
I agree.
it's like it was like funny. I just want to throw it in because I remember the story after you talking like a lot about the uniques and the run cost thing, and I was like, I remember the story where if I would be like a little bit earlier, I would say like, yeah, okay, we can change it, why not? But I've know like the price from the marketplace, because like I'm selling cards for myself like too on the marketplace, and I was like, bro, if he's joking on me. It's like, it's a fake card. And then he was like, yeah, we can trade it if you want. It's okay. And I was like, okay. Okay. But yeah, we still got like some games up. So is there another table that you want to take
Yeah, let's
look?
hop into table 3 while it's still going.
Table 3. Oh, I was actually also sticking on the tape for a roll aside, because I know I will see another Sigmar that I like to see.
Yeah, well, let's say from Team DSL, the Desaltered, they are incredibly strong at the moment and have multiple players in the highest echelons at this point. And Wurlitzer is a common face that we're associating with Sigmar at this point, and they're largely one of the Sigmars popularizing these resupplying uniques instead of token spammers in many cases. But in this case, it looks like they've been actually the ones preyed upon by a Sierra player here, who, given that it's table 3, I'm assuming is also undefeated at the moment.
Yeah. So GG. That's crazy.
I'm happy to see Sierra in the top tables. That's very exciting.
Ooh, yeah. Finally, a Sierra decklist that I can copy paste. Oh, that's amazing. Because I remember that actually, because we watched after you on Instagram, after you said that Sierra is like an S tier hero. And I was asking myself of, okay, that's an interesting take to say that. And now,
I have Sierra on my personal tier list as high A tier. I believe that it's almost as good as Kojo.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay. Yeah, but because it's like, I have no any clue how like Zero's working, because there are like not that many games that I will be able to watch it. I remember like if Doombringer, I don't know, Doombringer, are you here somewhere? Because it was actually the only Zero player that I've known from the streams, because he was
a long time ago. That's true.
There was Doombringer. But I think he's just like do some mechanical working on the like the Zero decklist. So we still got like some tablets left that we can take a look over. So maybe we can go to 46. There's Trapstar that's also being in chat. We can watch it.
I will hop in. Yeah.
So Trapstar, maybe our stream codes were working now. And it seems that we see a mirror matchup of Athanas. Oh man, it was the best decision of my life to join this table. I could.
We're seeing here a red unique, notably. That is one of the options that we often do see from Athanas instead of Spindle Harvester uniques. That has been put to sleep and is now getting sort of beaten in terms of expeditions, at least, by a cool Studious Disciple that both draws cards and has the potential to be spell return, but it's more of a card advantage unique. And at this point, that's looking pretty good, as that Athanas is trying to draw towards small step.
Yeah, that's right. And ooh, just taking a look over the unique. So I would still say that like this red is also an amazing unique for Athanas in general from Rusty. With the At Dusk, if I have 2 more boosts, you may return a spell from a reserve to your hand. Also with the Seasonate ability, That's amazing. And here we go. When I leave the expedition zone, draw a card. You may put a card from your hand in reserve. If it's a spell, then you may return a card from a reserve to your hand. And you're right, if there's like a small step giant leap, then this will be the end. But as we can see, Trapstar is thinking a little bit too long, so I would guess there is no small step giant leap in hand for now.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. And I believe that they have chosen to not put a card into mana this turn as well. So it's likely it's a lot of very cheap spells in hand for the Aphanos here.
Yeah.
But yeah, and we are definitely going to see from our top Aphanos, they need to contest on both sides here. Because of the threat for a single play from the bottom Aphanos to simply take it otherwise. Oh, and a cool choice coming out, Snowball Commando. That's a rare from the new set, and does manage to exhaust a card with it from the reserve of the top Aphanos without giving a exhaust back. So that's pretty solid.
It's pretty solid, and it's like also being it's still like being able to that the off you go will being there, but there's also like an off you go from Trapstar still left in the reserve. So let's see what our Aphanos could do right now, because it's either just like small step giant leap something, and it will be like the Snowball Commando in that case, or maybe there will be something else in hand, and actually it will be the off you go. So taking out that, but then still got like 3 mana left, so actually also Trapstar will be able to just like removing another card. But then the case is like, does our Aphanos still got could play the red again? I'm sorry, just could play out the red again.
Exactly. No, the bigger threat from Trebstar, the bottom Aphanos at least, is if they had access to a Beauty Sleep in their hand as well.
Yeah.
At this point, that or another Off You Go are both really good tools, but not the one from reserve here in this case.
Yes.
You're totally right that it would just get replayed from reserve, the red, if it was removed. But any play here, like a Beauty Sleep should do it likely for the bottom Aphanos. Reason being, unless there is another character plus a removal spell of their own from the top Aphanos, it likely won't be able to deal with one of their characters getting removed at the right timing. So that is the big worry here.
Yeah, and that is actually, that's game. Just a game with the addition of the go. And there we go. It will be a magical turning. So GG to Rusty.
Yeah, that one looking really close there. Ends up going barely in the favor of our top Aphanos.
Yeah.
I say barely despite the crazy stats that we're seeing on board, purely because there were multiple lines that could have ended up with where Trebstar could have potentially gotten to a win with a potential removal spell instead of like the magical training there as the last card. But looked super close, super dynamic. It's a fun matchup, I think, to play as well, because it can be very skill testing.
Yes. Sure, so GG to both of them. The fastest Thanos game that I've saw so far mirror matchup. I'm happy. And we're actually on round 5, so in the time we take a look at table. There's like really quick. No, a single card is worth more than an entire deck in other TCG. Spending more than $20 on a unique is downright dumb. And on the one hand, I would say, yeah, that's true. But on the other side, I don't want to get like too deep inside of why the pricing of some uniques is what it is, because of course it has to do with that we don't have like an actual marketplace, and it's all going to Discord, so you don't have like the ability to actually quick checking the prices. But what I just want to say is like the reason that some of the uniques that like obviously are better than other uniques in the game, Azora pricing is also like in the case of that I have the feeling like, so Autored is like one of those card games that I believe that has like a really good like competitive scene, like in general already, like with those online tournaments. So that is like just like a common sense that also like some uniques that are like a little bit better were getting priced higher. So I would say it's not only that like the marketplace is missing and you have like grades that being willing to spend 500 euros on one card is the case that those cards are so high. It's also just like Eva that I have sometimes the feeling that like the competitive player scene of Autored is in some cases a little bit like bigger than like the casual players, because you could just like casually play out Auto Red because it's feeling like a board game for most of the sense. But most of the people that I also know, like from my local scene, they're all playing on almost every tournament that's happening during the week. And it's not only
Yep.
like on my local, it's like also on the local, on the next city, and also on the other city. So I would say it's maybe like that, why like some cards are actually high cost quality. And I'm saying I'm totally fine that not every card is around 50 euros. That are like
Yep.
some cards that like being a little bit more expensive, because I'm saying it's like how a market should be working at some point. But you're right.
You know,
Yeah.
I agree in the sense that I think
Yeah.
it would be nice if uniques
Yeah.
were a little bit more price accessible to
Yes.
everyone. However, at the same time, people drop ridiculous amounts of money on hobbies of all varieties, and
Yeah.
if they've ended up dropping a bunch of money on this one, I see no reason why that is any worse or any dumber than doing it on a different hobby. Meanwhile, it's not like this is an unheard of sort of thing. People
Yeah.
spending tens of thousands of dollars on collectible cards from other games as well.
Mhm.
I understand that this is more so unheard of with like brand new card games like Altered. But I
Yeah.
mean, the dynamic of uniques as well means that people want to feel like they're holding something that is really special, and in some ways, they often are. So
Yes.
I get it.
Yeah. But it's true. It's like too expensive. But I can tell maybe someone here in the stream got access to the first beta of the marketplace. Maybe because
By the way,
I know
we need to be jumping into a
we
game.
chipped in another table at the time that do you have a table in mind?
I would say at this point we can start looking towards some of the top tables. I'd
Yeah.
love to see table 6.
Oh, okay. Let's go into John 80 Jump. And I just want to say to you, Billy Crick, that the prices drop actually pretty hard on those marketplace when it comes online. It was already happening on the beta one. So you can just take a little bit more, and then you can getting cheap uniques a little bit cheaper. So we
Yeah.
will see actually Fanas against Lindy and Mark, and as we can see, there's another. Okay, there's like almost the same Splinter Harvester that I've showed to you, and that we saw only reflect one cost of mana war. Gain anchored. If I have one or more boost, you may return a spell from a reserve to your hand. And for the Lindy, we will see a Moonlight Jellyfish and also mobile armory that will be played out. All right. So,
Yeah. Notably, anyone would be listing this unique on a marketplace as being S tier, S plus, best spindle harvester ever. Doesn't even come close to comparing the one that we saw in the previous game. But that is in no way to say that this is not a good spindle harvester here. And our Lindaway is immediately recognizing the threat that it provides in this case. Just getting rid of it right off the bat can't help but feel like that is an excellent decision, even though it's so costly for the Lindaway in terms of cards they have access to here. You need to deal with it somehow. Sometimes if you don't have a card like Off You Go to deal with it, something that just discards it completely, gets rid of it, won't let it gain anchored, and let it get replayed from reserve again. That's an incredibly important thing to do. So yeah, I think the pressure is on now at this point for Lindaway to find some card advantage tools. I think Baba's Isba would be a fantastic draw for them, as would Gift of Self, either of which would let them use this ability from the rare copy of Moonlight Jellyfish that they have as well to sacrifice it, and if it has fleeting, they would draw a card. So I think those would be potentially excellent draws, but otherwise they're currently a little bit underneath what Yo is doing in terms of card advantage. Yo, absolutely one of the most well-known Afanas players as well from previous tournament results. They're likely to not just have one good Spindle Harvesters in their deck, but multiple. And if they find another one here, this would be a crazy turn to find one.
Yes, it's true. And
I am away for 30 seconds. I'll be right back.
Okay, I will count 1 to 30. Keelan? Hello. Okay, guys, now. No, whatever Keelan is doing, I hope he is taking his time and not only 30 seconds, maybe a little bit longer. So right now we will see that it will be the starting turn of Joe, and actually in some point that this Spindle Harvester will go early. It's not only hurting like in the EVA ray of like that, like a strong card like that is like getting like array or like removed from the game. It's also sometimes like the case that actually for Alphanas the most ridiculous stuff that could like actually happen, it's being the fact that you're being like not that much on characters in those early turns, because sometimes if you have like a lineup like that, for example with the Spindle Harvester, then actually there's like the case that you're actually starting to prefer actually of keeping like spells instead of just like characters all the time. But as you can see, this would be not the case. But so seeing like that, so the Moonlight Jellyfish will actually getting removed, and we see like a nice Amarok that will be played out. And if I'm the only character in my expedition, you represent to reserve any numbered characters with total of 4 or less, and another character choice for expedition sacrifice the character. And even with the cost of 5, it's like an amazing card that we can see, but still, the Alphanas being able. Hi.
I am back, Pandy, and that is a sweet Amarok right
Yeah,
there.
that's a sweet
Love that
Amarok.
avalanche ability,
Yeah.
removing any number of target characters.
Yes.
Actually plays really well into Alphanas as well. Sometimes there are setups involving multiple characters where they start out very small in terms of stats, and sometimes if you're able to remove, for example, a Katagiran Mage Dancer and a Studious Disciple or a Spindle Harvester or any number of other things that the deck tends to play, that's going to be a really good threat. And notably as well, Alphanas doesn't have many removal spells that can actually deal with something like this Amarok. The threat, the main thing they do have as a good tool against it is Beauty Sleep, which can actually prevent the expedition from doing things for multiple turns, because the additional sacrifices that Amarok causes if you play things onto that side, it ends up being really good for Beauty Sleep, but otherwise Off You Go doesn't cut it, and oftentimes Alphanas players are choosing to get rid of Vanishing Gate from their deck list as well, meaning that there sometimes just aren't many outs for 4+ mana cost characters.
Yeah, that's right. And as we can see, the Mage Dancer will be played out for the Alphanas, so maybe we see like a little bit of a lineup of some spells, and maybe also being able to boost it up to actually getting advantage of the ability or like the effect of the Mage Dancer with if I have 3 or more boost for a card. And now it's the turn of the Lindy, and as we can see, it will be a Babas Ispa that will be drawn out, will be played out. So being able to draw an additional card. So let's see what this would be the case. And also actually the Amarok don't need to play it out, because there's a nice reserve effect of discarding to also again draw a card. That's amazing. I didn't saw that before. When checking on the list, that's cool. That's amazing.
Yeah, pretty good supportability. The card draw. Oftentimes we'll see either effects as a supportability that discount cards or return spells or other cards in general from reserve as being sort of highest priorities. Sometimes we see After You as well, but definitely draw card can be pretty good text to have for those emergency situations where you have a feeling that the body of a character like Amarok won't cut it. But I would say that this Baba's Isba is a really important card for Lindaway to find here. It does help them so much in virtually all matchups. It is one of the critical cards for the Lindaway sacrifice archetype. And in general, in this specific instance, actually, the fact that they drew a Chrysalis off of the Baba's Isba draw, absolutely insane at this point as well. And it really threatens to either leave them something that will last multiple turns here and give them potential sacrifice fodder for more of this Isba plus like Maw synergy that they then have. So yeah, I'm interested to see what they're going to choose to do here and what they're going to play around.
It's actually decided to they actually decided to sacrifice the Order Soldier instead of the Chrysalis, was actually being a really good choice for our Lindy, because putting down the Chrysalis would also be putting down another resource to just be played out, and the Chrysalis being an amazing card in that sense of also being able to playing out a lineup of the Amarok and then the Chrysalis afterwards. To getting a full potential of the effect. But as we can see now, resource-wise, it's being a good spot for our Alphanas. Lindy being like also not in a bad step if we would see just like character rise of the stuff that would happen, but it's still like the case for now that Alphanas has like a small favor in hand. And I've realized that Joe as a player lost so lost so many Elo. Is this like another account? I remember that the Elo was like a
Nope,
little bit higher.
this is the main account of Yo's.
Ooh. He was trying something.
I just assumed that they were testing different things, potentially different
yeah.
Aphanas configurations, potentially other
Yes.
decks. I have done the same thing many times, heading up to like high 500s in Elo and then plummeting back down to 200 myself whenever I try some wacky ideas that I have. So I respect it. I respect the
Yeah,
grind.
I respect it.
But it
Also.
looks like they're back to one of their better configurations at the moment.
Yeah.
But in this case, interestingly, I think it was really important for our Lindaway player that the last card from the Aphanas this past turn wasn't a magical training specifically.
Yeah.
If the Katagaran Mage Dancer had been able to get another boost there the last turn, they would have been able to draw a card at dusk, and that would have given them so much more leverage or more ability to sort of create a sort of snowball over time that would go in the favor of the Aphanas. But now we do have this interesting situation where the Lindaway is threatening to do a lot of different things. They can potentially leave things in play for multiple turns thanks to Chrysalis. They can potentially threaten expedition progressions this turn already. Baba's Isba now is going to force out virtually all of the information from Aphanas before they have to commit to the board, and Amarok threatens to get rid of pretty much everything on its own as well. So loving Lindaway's position all of a sudden.
Yes. And another unique. I remember that actually Joe was like selling all of his Bitter Harvesters, so interesting to see what else will be in there. When I go to reserve from the Expedition Zone, if I have 2 or more boost, draw a card, and you may return a spell from a reserve to your hand. So at least Beauty Sleep will be back in hand, so being able to just like put something else to sleep. And now it's interesting of what actually our Lindy will do afterwards of the turn, and also what Aphanas will do right now. But it's just like being the easy case of playing out the Mage Dancer, or starting with the Beauty Sleep is also like a nice choice to have. So putting 1 mana move just like to sleep, getting the boost for the red, and being able to almost not being able to at least draw a card because there is like missing 1 stat line, but still being able for now to broadcasting on both expeditions, but the Amarok is still being in the reserve, so still being able to just like being played out, and if it's the only character in the expedition, also being able to just like remove some of the cards on the board, actually, with the effect. That I almost forgot that the Amarok got it.
No, huge effect here. It's going to get rid of both of the characters that are currently in play for the Aphanas. The one upside of replaying the red here is it would let them return this Beauty Sleep to their hand in this case. But that will still be a even trade. And Lindaway is finding their way through sort of a very difficult situation where things were looking a little bit Aphanas favored, and now are looking suddenly very even. Notably, this unique is now gone, and the one main tool that the Aphanas really has here is this Katagaran Mage Dancer. And there's definitely a chance here for Lindaway to pick up either a Tooth Fairy or a different form of Sabotage or Exhaust effect that could make that like a difficult line to make work as well. And Lindaway is now entering a turn where they are the starting player, meaning that this Maw will be free to make, and sometimes that can be make or break in any Lindaway game. So we'll see.
Yeah, really see. And now I've completely outplayed Ko. Oh god. So no, it just jokes beside. So we will see actually that the Mage Dancer will be the starting off, so Lindy was being able to actually already boosting up the Maw. And what is like being nice in general, because I would say this could be like a big Maw for that turn, but it's also like almost like a free removal for our Aphanas to getting rid of the Maw in that case. And now, that's interesting. We will see a Bago will be played out, the common version. So target opponent, in that case, it will be Joe as Aphanas. This cuts a card from their hand. So this is like actually almost always like really hurtful, and it's actually the unique that's getting out. So at dusk, if I have one or more boost, you may return a card added from reserve to hand. And already Jump is saying GG, so I don't know. Is there like a feeling of I true terrible? Okay.
Yeah, notably, Baku almost really good there, but not
Yeah.
quite at its best. I think the main problem
Mm.
here is that like a beauty sleep would likely take the game, and
Yes.
the threat of small step is just so massive in general. And yeah,
Yeah.
with nothing else coming out from the Lindaway player, that will be it.
Mm.
Interesting to say as well, Baku is sort of a non-standard choice at this point for
Yeah.
these Lindaway decks. We see other players like Zoa and I believe Wesh, who
Mm.
are both doing really well in Lindaway at the moment, other than just Chomp. And I think they're typically not playing these Bakus. But when I think of Chomp as well as a player, they were historically one of the first Lindaway players to be trying to play the deck competitively. And
Yeah.
I believe in their old lists as well, they were a big fan of 2 copies of Baku. And that does make me think that it's definitely the sort of thing that they're used to playing around.
Yeah.
But I wonder if maybe it can hurt the configuration a little bit sometimes. It when that card is good, it's really good. But those games that your opponents are on so low resources already that the Baku becomes super good, I feel like you're already likely winning those spots. So I wonder. I mean, it can be really strong sometimes, but in this case, just not quite enough. Yo makes the critical decision, getting rid of a unique that he no longer needed at that point of the game, and simply
Yeah.
takes the win. That was good.
It was amazing. What's also good is that we still got many tables left, so we can watch another game. And do you want to continue or being on the top tables or doing anything
Oh no,
else?
I'm happy with anything.
Yeah, because actually, maybe I also want to take a look on table 2 because it's actually 2 mates of the Red Aces. It's Matri and Kanok that's playing against each other. So, and I know that both of them being undefeated. So right now, one of them getting the lose because of their own teammates, and I think this is the best thing, coolest thing to see. So we going directly in, and oh boy, I never saw this matchup before. I don't know how it's working. So it's Sigmar against the Fanas. Yeah, it's actually really hard. So whew, do you know how this matchup is working actually? So how it's going up? Yeah, you know it. Oh, that's crazy.
Somehow I've found my way through this matchup a little bit before.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We are now in small step giant leap range for
Yeah.
Afanas, and the fact that the Sigmar does not threaten to double advance and win the game this turn is a very bad thing for the Sigmar. That being said, Afanas is very low on cards. Sigmar has a full reserve, and one of the cards in Sigmar's reserve is a Tiny Jail, which is incredibly strong in this sort of spot. So if the Afanas doesn't manage to find a small step giant leap, I really like Sigmar's position, regardless of the current advances as they're set up.
Yes.
But it's going to be tough. I mean, not only is there a very high chance that the Afanas manages to find a small step, but otherwise, even if they end up losing an entire turn, it's likely that they would find a way to cheese at least an expedition progression that needs to be fought around, and even then, they will have enough resources likely for the following turn that things could be pretty good for them.
Yeah, that's true. And oh, the points are now updated. Nice. So as we can see right now, even if there's like no small step giant leap, then Kano could like also being like in the favor, but maybe there's something left like in hand that's maybe also being able that the FNS is winning. It's at least one expedition that needs to win. But with the tiny chills being hard, and also that the front row mechanic will be the starting off of the turn, we're getting hard. But there it is, the Rime Frost actually. So
Rime Frost's sort of the perfect card here too. Not only does it threaten to put boosts on itself, but it also prevents some of the cards that otherwise Karnag would like to play out. Studious Disciple, not the thing you typically want to be playing a Tiny Jail on, but you sort of have to in this sort of spot, because it does threaten to potentially take the game on its own. Notably, this is a rare Studious Disciple, so it does have that reserve ability, giving the next spell they play this afternoon, making it cost 1 less. So they have deceptively, they have less mana than they're practically going to be able to use this turn at this point.
Oh yes, it's true. Let's see. Oh, okay, all right. It's a teamwork training, and it was crazy because I've talked a little bit about it when you were like missing for a couple of seconds. I was
Yeah, I had to
like,
grab my food.
yeah, it's completely fine, but no, so I can tell it again. It's like I was saying that at some points it's actually being not so good for the fans if you're getting removed of some characters, because sometimes you're just like relating on one character on your board, so that's actually working out. And this is like maybe the case, because at some point it could be actually that this studio designer was the only character for our. Oh, okay, no, there's still the Moon a caregiver, but I would say for now, if there's like not any removal right there in the hand, then this would be a double progression for our Sigmar, right? And here we go, it's the helping hand. So no, yeah, yes, no, yes. No,
That
okay.
prevents the double
Shocking.
progression,
Yeah.
but they do not lose the game.
Yes.
So sort of a critical moment there for both
Yes.
players, and that was looking like it was going to go Thanos' way, but barely by 1 mana, not able to replay that helping hand there. Notably, that is a spell return unique, so they were able to pick up that helping hand again and threaten to use it again the next turn.
Yes.
Yeah, this game's super tight. What else can you say?
And now there is the question: does the I will translate it to you. I've tried the small step giant leap. Yeah. Yes. It should be. Guys, I don't know any French. I'm sorry. There was a chance, like back in school, that you could pick like French as a subject, like, but I was like, no, I want to have the free time as a student because it's free time.
What Karnag was essentially saying is that the fact that he forgot the fairy, like the tooth fairy at some point, that was earlier in the game, we didn't get to see that, put him in a really bad position.
Oh,
and Madry was just acknowledging, yep, it was a misplay, and Karnag was like, yep, that's what happened.
Yep, I'm getting kicked out. Yep, just kidding. And the Tooth Fairy will be played out again, so this will be another time that actually there's a sabotaging. But then I would say from now on, will it be game, or is there another one cost?
That should be game.
Should be, yeah. So
Thanks that helping hand that we already know about, it's enough.
Yeah. Okay, guys, so Chichi, can you pass? Aren't you in Discord or something?
Notably, Afanas not needing a small step to win this game.
Yes.
I do think it's interesting. They have a very different configuration than is typical.
Yeah.
I'm seeing rare field reinforcements. I'm seeing rare Joyride out of faction from Lyra, and the rare Studious Disciple that we mentioned earlier. Cool configuration. I'm wondering if it helps at all for the Sigmar matchup. That is typically a bad one for Afanas at the moment.
Yeah. ADHD Pandy. What the? Huh? Hello? Freeloader? Hello? Okay. Okay, if you think so, okay, you can say it. It's okay. Nah, just kidding. So, GG to our Afanas for taking out the game, and also GG to Matri to actually being able to giving a lose to one of their own teammates. I don't know how they're handling it in their team, because in our team you're getting kicked for almost everything.
Hey, and but that round should satisfy both people who love Team Altered Aces and the anti-fans as well.
Yes.
Because not only did a player from Team Altered Aces win, yay, Altered Aces. A player from Team Altered Aces also lost. Boo, Altered Aces.
I can imagine, yes.
Balance in all things.
I just like in my mind, if there would be like a world championship and there would be like Altered Aces represent as the biggest French team, and there's like another French team that's where we call it anti-aces or anti-aces or something like that. And they just were like started to create it because they were like against Altered Aces. It would be like a funny like a team battle, like a funny team battle in my mind. But so if someone want to just like ripping my ID, you can have it, guys. I'm helping to make the scene spicy in France. So anyway, we still got some table stuff. So do we have like a table in mind, or do we just like joining whatever we want to?
I totally missed what table it is, but if you go down to after use Mbruza against Luxor, there's currently a
table 35,
Lindaway
yeah.
mirror match that's going on.
Oh, that's interesting.
It
Many
does
matches
look
that we see
to
today.
be in favor of Luxor at the moment. What I can say though is that they have double Baba's
Yeah.
Isba out, and that is one of the most critical cards in general for Lindaway. And just especially having more Baba's Isba than your opponent is often huge, or one of the most important things that can happen. But notably, we still have a game here. Depending on what the last card is for our bottom Lindaway, this could be either great for them or absolutely nothing. And there is that threat already of just blocking on that hero side, at least for the top Lindaway, thanks to this mobile armory that's currently in reserve. And that at least does mean that if the bottom Lindaway chose to just sacrifice that Tooth Fairy and didn't have anything really as a follow-up, that would just give even stats on the Maw side, and there would be a potential progression from our top Lindaway still with the mobile armory or this recruit.
Right.
So game's really close. Can't help but feel like it favors the bottom Lindaway, again, because of that access to the Baba's Isbas here. But yeah, it's going to come down to these last hand cards.
That's true. So where is he right now, the Maw and the last hand? Because we're with the topic, so would be either like the mobile armor would be played out directly, or it would be also would be the mobile armory. So being in the total sets of 3, so now it's the time. Like, so to reveal it's also actually a mobile armory. Okay, that's interesting. That's amazing.
Brutal.
Being able to actually sacrifice it if wants to. So let's see. Okay. That's it.
Yeah, that's enough. That was super close there, but yeah, looks like Luxor takes it. Wonder what the last card was for the top Lindaway. It was either too expensive or something like a Moth Lantern that wouldn't have let them play it onto that hero side, I guess. But yeah, looked really close.
Looked really, really close. And Justin Drawing had a nice idea. Let us create it with many BJA Smurf accounts for French flag. Mean team, AAA, anti-auto red aces, the auto red guy, or AA just passing. I mean, at some point, we can think about it.
Nah, I can't be an anti-fan. I'm a fan of all teams at the moment.
I'm also liking auto red aces too much to doing a meme right now, but feel free. But they're always so nice. Every time when they're like streaming and I'm saying hi from the English stream, that's like one of the small times that they're actually responding in English and talking in English. And I'm like, and every Ultimate Ace member also like in the letterboard or stuff like that. They are like so nice, those guys.
Oh, nice, cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're welcome.
maybe the anti-fan team right now is actually Team BB that started up. I know they have a name, Bastien Baudelaise, and they are appearing on the scene as well. But it's just funny now seeing both AA and BB like spectating games and whatnot.
CC.
Pretty good. Yeah, exactly.
DD, EE, FF. Also Chichi as our team tech name. Just like
true.
It's interesting. Oh, that's amazing. But I would say from now on, we've got enough teams that there could be a potential tournament for teams, maybe at some point.
That would be cool.
Maybe. Yeah. Another auto red aces. Oh, that's also crazy. I like Team FF. Let's make that happen. Oh, Rune, that's also a nice spot. Maybe. I would prefer to FF 15.
Yeah.
Just related. FF. GG.
I think the last table is currently Trebstar's table, where he's also playing against a traced player from Team Altered Aces in Clem. And although things look pretty decent for the Afanis, it looks like Traced is starting to go off with a Ouroboros Lyra Bastion now.
Yeah.
And depending on the cards that they're able to sort of churn through their deck this turn with, they might be able to find some really crazy options here, actually, despite the fact that they're running pretty low on cards in hand. And yeah, they do find with a Frozen Delivery at this point, a GN Assembly Overseer, and that does let them continue the Ouroboros Bastion loop if they are trying to get through their deck to find answers. So this game is super close.
Yes. And I would say for now on that this giant maybe could also be like a favor for Clem right now, being able to activate the ability again of the Ouroboros Bastion and just like to dig through the deck. So, this could be still an interesting thing. So let's see how it turns out. So being able to again, maybe taking the Inari to using the ability again if runs too. That's amazing. And Trapster is asking why the timer is actually running out for him. It's maybe because you need actually sometimes to accept the abilities that actually actually Clem is using too. And as we can see now, it's a GG for Clem. So nice to see that Trace being able to win. So we are tracing, yeah. So let's
the gibble or the gibble or the gerbil, or as some people have been calling it, is enough there thanks to the brass bugs to go over the top of those Belasenkos and win it.
Yes. And now we will be on the final round 6, and we got 5 players that being actually undefeated for the tournament. Oh, I saw that we're actually seeing 7 matches. I was thinking it was the final match, but no. 7 matches.
Nope.
I will stay here forever. All right.
Settle down. We're still in this one for a while.
Oh, man. I was already excited to grab my food, grab my lunch. But okay, anyway, so if you want, we can take a look on table 1 because there is Giga Nord, and I never saw that name before blobbing off. Maybe you know the player?
Yeah, I have seen the name around, but
Yes.
it's interesting because I know I haven't seen many notable results from them, and I'm actually not sure what they're playing today either. But I have seen them in a couple of the previous A.W.O.Ls, I believe, from the last couple of weeks.
Oh, okay. So then, if you want, we can directly jump to table 1.
Cool, let's do it.
Take a look on that. So let's see. And it will be a teacher against an Afanas. All right.
Yeah. Notably, this does look like I believe it is the last player from Team Altered Aces who's currently undefeated in the event at the moment. So potentially this match could result in Altered Aces not winning a tournament over the past week or two at the moment if the Tasia is able to win it. Turn 1 does go slightly in the favor of Afanas in terms of being able to play a character that does advance and sticks around for a following turn. But Tasia had a very good turn against the Afanas matchup as well, playing out Spindle Munibastion, meaning that their stuff is going to be very hard to remove. The big hope here for Madri, the Afanas' perspective, is if they're able to find more cards that let them either just draw more cards or Helping Hand, for example, things that let them improve their own stats on board without potentially removing opponents' threats. Those will be very good and very important, especially in these early game scenarios where there's very little mana to spend on a potential removal spell that costs 2 more than usual.
It's true, and as we can see, being a nice starting off again, and we see another Spindle Harvester, but actually not so good as the other ones that we saw before, but still like an amazing card. So Relief Expedition Zone still being in play, that's amazing, but now it's freaking Nord, and this is just like one of the most common terms, I would say, now being able to play in Aloe, and it's almost like the case that these off you go. Maybe at some point now you're thinking like, oh, spending a whole turn for removing it, but it's actually good for our offenders because our teacher will not being able to play an additional card because Aloe will be a 4-mana card, so being able to progressing again and to being at that state on that early game, that's amazing.
Yeah, it ends up being an excellent turn for the Afanas, and exactly as you just mentioned, also picks up that off you go once again.
Yes.
It's relatively unlikely here that they will be able to continue to use that off you go again and again. I don't think that the Tasia is going to give them many opportunities where they're going to be able to play it on that Aloe Vera once again for even more value.
Yes.
But they're likely not going to have to. In that case, the damage is already sort of done. Afanas definitely takes a little bit of the tempo lead in this game with it. I think that this turn they're likely going to try to create another setup, potentially playing out this Spindle Harvester unique yet again. But I think it's much more likely they're going to focus on setup for this turn and then try to cash in on a next turn. But no, it actually looks like they're going to try to push their advantage right now, using that after you support ability from the Spindle Harvester unique, and they're just going to wait and see what the Tasia does.
It's true. And again, it will be just like the A.W.O.L, it will be played out again. So now our Fellas player again would just like being able to actually using the Obligure if wants to, but not deciding it to do it. It will be the Mage since it will be played out on the Hero Expedition. And now we can see that Tasia actually took the decision of not making the A.W.O.L anchor it throughout the effect, because there was like a highly chance that our fellas would just like simply playing out the off you go again and removing it. And in that case, maybe it's also like a nice thing for Metri to know, okay, so the A.W.O.L were not getting like anchored again, so the off you go could not be played out. So there's like a chance that there will be for now like actually not any one cost in hand right now. Maybe at that point. But as we can see that actually Kriegernaut just like passed out the turn, so our fans will be able to just like progressing again, and also like our teacher finally being able to progressing in the first expedition ever. So that's an amazing take, yes.
Just to give a little bit of background information to that play there, the fact that they left up the 2 mana and then chose not to play anything there essentially means that they're almost certainly working with a 2 mana character in play that they then decided wasn't worth playing when the A.W.O.L was unlikely to be removed in any way or outstatted. Well, thanks to that Spindle Bastion, we know it wouldn't get removed, but it would be very unlikely for it to get outstatted in that position, which makes me think that the card in the Tasia's hand is likely either an Ogun or a Lyra Thespian. It could be something else like a Snoozer Shroom. That card is coming out more and more, but chances are it's one of those things that they don't want to cash in so early when there's no benefit to doing so. It would just cost them a card or half a card in the case of something that would then go to reserve.
Yes.
Potentially become then a sabotage target as well. So yeah, I like the choice there, saying that they have the potential 2 mana play and then choosing to do nothing with it there. It's actually a very strong line. It looks bad, but it was well played.
Yeah, it's alright. And we see actually the second Spindle Bastion will coming out. So for now, there's like a high chance that we will see not any remove ever in that game. And the Lyra Thespian will be played out as the first card. Interesting choice.
It was Lyra Thespian.
It's
Let's
like the
go.
Lyra Thespian. Bro, it's amazing. That's crazy. You're casting too many games. You need a break.
I love this game so much.
It's like, now it's getting like, I'm not sure. A little bit out of the hand. So would you say you have a problem?
Yeah, I'm
okay.
obsessed. What can I say?
Actually, I've realized that the Helping Hand was playing out, but the Mage Dancer didn't like the target for it. So being like going back to reserve, is there a reason? Choosing that?
I missed where all of the boosts went. I was assuming that they were prioritizing a card draw at dusk over giving one of the Mage Dancers not fleeting anymore.
Yeah.
Which actually makes sense in a lot of situations where you're in a matchup where you know that there's going to be no sabotage or exhaust effects in most deck lists, at least. If you have one Katagiran Mage Dancer in reserve, that's likely enough in many circumstances. And it's not about to get sabotaged away either. Sometimes in other matchups, it is really nice just hovering the 2 in your reserve and saying, okay, if you deal with one, I'll play out the other, and it's totally fine. In this case, I'm saying I don't need more than one. One is perfectly good, and they're valuing the card draw instead, digging through their deck, getting them closer to what they need, and getting them closer to any copies of Small Step, Giant Leap, the big elephant in the room at the moment.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Exciting. And now we see the Inaru getting up, and that's like a dusk if I throw no more boost up to run target character with hand cost fearless ultimate gets angered. That's an amazing card, and it's just like always almost like the most common at dusk anchoring something card that I've saw by far right now being in play. That's an interesting thing. And now we see the Mage Dancer will be played out again, and so there will be the Ogun, and so for now our teacher will be able to progressing twice. And I would say it's like, even if like Retro will be able to boosting out almost every card throughout spells, there's like a case that I still believing that our teacher could like potentially getting like a favor in this match because of this both Spindle and Muna bastions, and if there's like any chance that our teacher at least could somehow defending the Katigiran, and so our fighters were not being able to actually play out the okay, there's a moth to a flame. Never mind.
Yeah,
Yeah,
lose the game on the spot for the Afanas.
I was believing in the Spindles. I'm sorry for you, Giganord. I was still believing until the end.
It's worth noting that
Yeah.
Madry managed that exact thing that I was mentioning
Yes.
earlier, where they're going to be reliant on finding additional ways to create boosts and stats on board rather than just removing spells.
Yeah.
They did have that one early removal spell at really good timing, even through that Spindle Munibastion that was in play, which was nice, but otherwise they were super not reliant on any removal. They just needed stats on board, and Katagir and Mage Dancer really, really good at putting stats on board. So that worked really well for them.
Yeah.
What can you say?
And I would say this was one of the fastest games that I've watched on table 1.
Yeah, that's fair.
So we get like plenty of other games. I'm so hungry. I think I need to get my food at some point.
No worries. In that case, direct me over to table 15, please.
Table 15.
Actually, no, I'm sorry, 17. 17.
17. Okay, last chance. I go. So whopper. Oh. Amazing. I will go directly into it, and it will be.
And we've never seen this before, except for all the times we've seen it.
So have fun. I will be fast.
Yeah, this is really interesting. We do currently have a Grand Endeavor Sigmar threatening to win the game here, virtually on the spot. It's sort of doubly so because they do get that token at noon here. There is actually some interesting lines that can sometimes happen here with Afanas when you do have Katagir and Mage Dancers in reserve, where you can actually sometimes cheese triple advances on turns by playing out 2 copies of Katagir and Mage Dancer exactly like this, and then following it up with a small step giant leap. That can occasionally be just enough stats to actually guarantee you a double advance plus that one that you get from the small step. But in this case, it's not going to be quite enough, largely because this Baba Yaga and Foundry Engineer combo are enough to shore up that that companion side and prevent that from working out in the favor of the Afanas. So I can't help but imagine here that there isn't going to be any way to deal with this Grand Endeavor. There are some uniques in the game that do help that dynamic a little bit, but not every Afanas choosing to use those. And it is typically unique specifically that does necessitate. It's not just any old permanent removal card. Afanas has very little access to good ones of those. Boom is not really a card that can be played so easily in the deck, and Banishing Gate performs very poorly into Grand Endeavor. And here we are seeing that, yeah, despite the fact that Afanas can find a double expedition progression this turn, Grand Endeavor plus aggro plan is good enough to get this one done for the Sigmar. But of course, we do have to click through a few more actions because they do have to get to noon on the next turn for the Grand Endeavor to take the win here. So yeah, sorry, I directed us to a little bit of an ending one at the moment, so you're going to be stuck with me and no PaandyAndy for a minute as I talk about virtually nothing. What I will say is we are starting to see a lot more Afanas in general running rare Katagir and Mage Dancers. I do think that the less rare Katagir and Mage Dancers that you are playing, the more your uniques have to be really good, either spell return or crazy card advantage. But in general, we're seeing a lot of these Mage Dancers to shore up people playing uniques that aren't sometimes those optimal card advantage engines that we see in those uniques slots. But otherwise, it does make them a little bit more resilient to potential removal hitting those uniques as well, as they're able to find more ways to start to get through their deck and to keep some amount of card advantage. So that's definitely a nice reason to be using the rare Katagir and Mage Dancers. I think both ideas are still viable, however. But the card I think that we're seeing less and less of on the for most Afanas players at least is rare magical training. I think most Afanas finding their way towards the common at this point, getting a few extra rare slots either for some of the really fun new tools between cards like Sleight of Hand, Joyride, as we saw from the other Afanas actually, but also just cards in general like Katagir and Mage Dancer. Definitely needing to find your rare slot somewhere. Magical training is often one of the first cuts there. So yeah, I think that's a interesting little dynamic that's going on in some of the changes with the Ephanis deck lists. And of course, as we've been mentioning, there is likely to be a balance patch coming again very soon, I believe in 3 or 4 days. At which point we will know maybe Ephanis decks need to be reconfigured a little bit more than that. Maybe Sigmar decks need to as well. And maybe nothing will. We're it's all yet to be seen. But no matter the case, there's a lot of innovation that's happening with virtually all these decks as well. I think Sigismar has also been experiencing a lot of growth recently in terms of people finding the more optimal lists, making some adjustments around it, but there's also always a metagame around that as well. Once a new best list is discovered, people will try to metagame around it for their own matchups, and then as soon as that happens again, it just sort of creates a circle. So always upgrades to be made, always some new tuning to be done. Welcome back, Paandy.
Yeah.
Yeah, now save me from talking to everyone there. The game ended faster than I expected.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I wasn't expecting 7 rounds. I should start actually making notes after I read something so I remember it more. Okay. So which tables we still could take a look of? I would say
Freeloader.
Which table?
Yes, I didn't see. It's like top 15 or something. I don't know.
Top 15. Yeah, he should get cursed. That's too high. So let's go, $3. Some Kojo. That's amazing.
Currently fighting against Ephanis, and notably he is adjacent on expeditions with the Kojo, and he is the first player this turn, which is good timing, meaning that he will have the opportunity to potentially win the game this turn while having that extra 2/2/2 to start off the day. And notably has one mana lead up on the Ephanis as well, meaning that he might be able to just make a couple more efficient plays in terms of costs, and that can definitely help a little bit.
Yeah, surely. So tasty. I have a family down in Italy, so a huge part of my family lives down in South Italy. So at some point I've learned how to cook Italian, and I did a bolognese. Ooh. And it's always I'm cooking in my mind for 3 to 4 days, but it tastes so amazing that almost everyone is eating it. So it's lasting not longer than 2 days actually.
I was also taught how to cook by an Italian, and my life has improved since.
Guys, I think it's a really simple kitchen, but you can get the most out of it with just small steps. It's amazing. And now also amazing is that we see the Sam Wukong will be played out. Amazing card.
Of a simple kitchen that you can get a lot out of. A Sun Wukong unique that discards characters is really sweet, especially when it threatens to be reused again and again, the way that this specific unique does. I think it's one of the things that Freeloader is best known for at the moment, other than their traced gameplay, is potentially playing this Sun Wukong in Kojo. Yeah, really good unique. What can you say? Gets rid of this category Mage Dancer really early on. It was sort of a forced play from the Ephanis to play out that Mage Dancer because it needs to get the bonuses from all the spells they would like to play during the turn. But otherwise, yeah, they would need multiple answers in order to deal with both the Buddha plus Sun Wukong on that companion side. And so Freeloader does take it. Freeloader off of a 2nd place finish in Ace yesterday even. Notably, they always go 5-1 pretty much and lose in the finals, and they continued that trend. So good job, Freeloader. Also commiserations, Freeloader. They're currently 5-1 in this event as well.
Yeah. And that's because you're not being allowed to play the last match, so we can continue saying that. So many other tables being up, so I would say for now, maybe we go to table, maybe to table table 11. Martin
Yes,
Future
perfect. I
against.
was looking at the same.
Oh, okay, that's amazing. Then let's jump right into it, and they're finished. Bro, no, they're not finished. There's still like a Loki that could be played out.
Yeah,
Oh, good.
looks like a Sigmar threatening to take a win and being denied
Yeah.
by a pretty nice Ogun. That's definitely helping out this turn. And a threat of a Loki from reserve for the Tasia player is going to shore up that hero side. But I'm wondering what their decision is. I mean, I guess they're deciding between that and something potentially better, but I'm wondering what could be better here. Just getting a progression seems like it should be pretty good.
Seems pretty good. So, oh, it's one of those Kickstarter Lokis. They're amazing.
I love how this Monday stream with Pandy and Kilon just turns into two people munching while vaguely talking about Altered. It's so good.
I mean, 7 rounds. 7 rounds. It's like a night over that I'm doing here.
Yeah, no, I feel you. And I rush home from work to sit down and immediately jump in with you casting as well. Like, who am I? What am I doing here? All right, let's go. And then I'm like, wait, I need food, sustenance.
No, it's just like the case. Of course, guys, I'm sorry that I'm eating during the stream, but actually, it's like I've had like a short time difference from going back to work and then coming back to home and then being able to lunch and also being able to start a stream and stuff like that. But I feel more sorry for Killen because it's like directly jumping home, going on the PC, and then just like being on stream, right? But I can tell you this will be changed after I going back to the kindergarten instead of the work that I'm doing right now, because it's actually like my last 2 weeks on this youth center, on this youth house that I'm working. So then I have regular work times. Normal work times,
I think it's okay. And honestly, this is one of the upsides of me not having the webcam is that I can eat in peace without having to apologize for it. So, you know, I'll allow it in your case. I'm doing the same.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm doing it like almost every stream. I'm eating like almost every stream, so. Yeah, guys. I would also eat like in an official tournament. Just kidding. No, I'm not kidding. Equinox, if you're listening this, I would also be eating during that time, so. Yeah, I'm just like hungry, that's true. But anyway, so
Simon, welcome to your massive event.
Simon, hello.
Welcome. We're doing our best not to disappoint you, although we do need to hide all of our food now. We were just having a what's it called, a mukbang stream until you showed up, but no longer. The authorities are here.
Yeah, the authorities here. So let's go back to the game that we take like full attention on it. And snack time is essential. Yeah, don't call it snack time. Don't forget to hide the unique things you've been making over stream. That's another case, Cole. That's another thing. You know, I cannot work on everything. I need to work like step by step, and it's like either like I need to stop eating during the stream, or I need to stop buying uniques during the stream. The big news. Oh, big news. I'm interested in. Are you also interested in? Oh,
big news. I like big news.
Yeah, big news. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. I'm excited.
Wow, Simon just baiting all of the people hanging out there in chat.
Yeah.
Oh, having to DM him. Wow, that's brutal. I have a feeling I know what the big news is, but I'm excited regardless.
Yeah,
I like big news. Notably, last turn, we didn't see that Loki get played. We saw a Nurture getting played instead to keep some boosts around onto the Spindle Harvester rare onto this turn, which definitely actually looks like it's sort of relevant in this instance. It's going to be a lot harder for Sigmar to contest because of it. It is likely the case that at least Tasia can try to contest here on the companion side, but I'm really wondering. I think there's a very high chance that the Tasia is going to opt to try to set up well for a tiebreaker arena instead, which is going to be interesting to see. Yeah, I like the choice playing out this aloe vera. They are going to play for that contesting of the arena, and they should just have a lot of resources for it as well, and they're reasonably well insulated from removal. So I think that is a nice thing for them to have, but notably the fact that Sigmar is just playing out Ortis Attorney after Ortis Attorney after Ortis Attorney means that they have tons of cards to work with themselves. The only downside for them really is that they aren't keeping this stats on board the way these aloe veras are from the Tasia. So that's one advantage that Tasia has, but still tons of cards for Sigmar.
It's also maybe also a nice spot for our Sigmar now, because being able to draw 2 additional cards for the next play. And with 9 mana, there's a chance that you almost could play out your entire hand. If you want to rouse Simon.
Simon's making me angry here, telling me it's bigger than what I think, but he won't reveal it to us. That's horrible.
I'm also interested in. I was thinking in stuff like, maybe can I take a guess, Simon, and you can say if it's true or not. I was feeling like maybe we're also being able to getting adventure pass points for the hour. I said you can DM me. Okay, I will do it right now. Hello.
He said after
Take
the
a
stream,
guess.
Pandy.
Oh,
No, you know, always these rule breakers, Pandy.
I'm sorry. Someone needs to do it.
That's true.
That's a great guess. Oh boy. Nah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, maybe if it's the case, that would be awesome, because I never need to go outside again to getting points. Yeah, just kidding.
Yeah, why go outside? We definitely don't want to do that.
No, that's not. So the Snoozers room will be played out on the companion side, but I would say, as you mentioned before, because of the aloe veras, it seems pretty.
It's hard for Sigmar to do too much, and I think the main reason is that Spindle Muna Bastion as well. I think they would have a lot more answers otherwise, but you know, the other thing that's really interesting though is that this turn, I don't think that Tasia chose to mana a card, putting them 1 mana behind actually. And in the situation where they were going to double resupply from aloe vera, I would be shocked if they wouldn't be able to spend all of their mana or virtually all of it anyway. So definitely interested as to what ended up in their hand that they didn't want to mana. Ogun, definitely a very good example of that. So I guess that last card, it must be pretty strong. Maybe something like a Beauty Sleep could be pretty good. Another copy of Ogun would of course be sweet, but yeah, definitely really wondering what that last card is. It should be a super good one for Tasia. And yeah, I'm wondering what could the Sigmar afford to play around if it's that good.
That's true. But I would say for now on, it seems too good for our teacher. Oh boy, it's so incredible.
Yes, by the way, I believe that's Trebstar. If you check in the A.W.O.L Discord server, exactly the tournament rules section, it's listed as rule number 6. Definitely is the case that you can't change the deck. It is written down somewhere. But yeah, notably, I know I had a lot of confusion with that myself, considering the tournament series I was running, because I did choose to do one interesting week where people were allowed to change decks between rounds as a sort of one-off event, and people were asking me ever since then, are we allowed to change decks like the other time?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, most tournaments running this way.
Yeah.
But yeah, oh wow, we're just tons of stats coming out from Tasia. It's just sad we don't get to see what that last hand card is, but yeah, must be pretty good as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's crazy. So GG to our teacher player, and there's like the rating call. So
Yeah.
They will not change like anything because another tournament yesterday there was a quite controversy about it, so it has to be in the Discord too. And being controversial in the case of it's not cool changing a deck, or
Ooh.
it's like cool. Some 500 EU players switch decks all tournament. Okay, that's interesting.
Interesting. Was that in like a live thing, or was that online?
That's an interesting choice. So I remember like, so if it comes to real life, that for example in the bigger tournaments of Pokemon, if you make it like to a top cut at a certain point, then you were allowed to change the deck for the next day if you wanted to. That's like, that was like in real life, but it's like happening online. Actually, I'm also like not sure how can you like prevent it on Board Games Arena if someone is like changing almost the deck. Can you just like kick him out from the tournament? No, right?
Nope. You cannot. However, I know that Simon has other punishments in mind, and overall, public shame is typically enough to dissuade people from doing this sort of thing as well. But we are into our final round of the event, and our top two players are Damien C91 and AA's Madry. So that's going to be a cool match to watch.
Yeah, let's go.
And yeah, the only two remaining undefeated players. So the winner of that will win the event. And of course, we have never seen this matchup ever before. Do you know what it is, Pandy?
I would either say it's like a fairness against Sigmar, or
Yep,
it's being a
you're
mirror
right.
matchup. Okay. Oh, it would be a mirror match.
Or at least to be fair, unless Damien surprises us, I know that the times before that they've placed well, they've been on Sigmar. And Madry we saw earlier on the solid Aphanas, so I would very much assume that that is the case. But yeah, at least one Aphanas for sure. And again, never mind. It is Aphanas versus Aphanas. Apparently, Damien is switching up since the last times they've been playing A.W.O.L. So that's interesting. All right, guess we're gonna have a mirror here.
Yeah. So I refresh.
Already a pretty reasonable start for our Altered Aces player here on the bottom with the Field Reinforcements opener. Does manage to draw a card with it and takes an expedition. Notably though, the start from Damien is also pretty good into the matchup. Drawing 2 cards on the first turn of the game with the magical training being played twice is definitely a good line. Sometimes some of the better starts in Aphanas mirrors in general have been just things like Conjuring Seal. The reason why this is the case is that Aphanas is often just a mirror matchup where you need to have the right cards at the right time, and if you do, you snowball the game and you win. And just having more cards gives you more situations where you have those right cards at the right time. So even if you lose a couple of expeditions early, sometimes the progressions don't matter as much. So sometimes more cards is just better in this game, and other times you just want the expedition progressions. Interesting how that changes up.
That's true. And Trapstar, it was Altered AQC Championship Season 1. Yeah, it was happening because I was like not posting any rules before the tournament, but we also changed it, so it's like a big common rule. Like the AQC event on Thursday. Yeah, I remember it was happening on our tournament, where I didn't wrote it, and after many players mentioned to me that's like actually being the case, I was like, yeah, okay, we can change it at some point. It's okay. but yeah, it's okay because I actually also didn't like wrote any rule for that. Because I was like maybe trying out, because I also feel like it's a cool idea that you can change decks at some point, but otherwise I'm liking that to see which deck is actually being able to progress from the beginning to the end to the top tables. So yeah. Yep. That's it, guys. So back to the game.
So
do
far,
you want to add something?
No, I was just going to say, things looking good for Madry. I think, interestingly, that this rare Studious Disciple is super good in this matchup. It actually looks super, super good. I'm wondering if it's almost worth a potential sabotage from Damien if he did have access to one. In this case, it is going to get exhausted with the Nylum Withered Tree. I do think that can give them a potential leg up in the matchup if they're able to, especially if they're able to find another copy of Nylum at some point in the near future. But yeah, as it stands, Damien has focused primarily on generating card advantage up until this point. Madri's had good card advantage as well, having had magical training and that field reinforcements earlier themselves. But just a little bit more cards for Damien still at this point.
Yeah, it's all right. And as you can see now, it's like already interesting. It's not the choice of Damien, but I would say, is there still like a one-cost card in hand that Damien is actually taking that time to think about it? Or it's like generally just like,
There's some
Magic training,
arguments for
example.
playing out.
Oh.
Oh, Joyride. Okay. That was not what I expected. I was gonna say I thought there was some potential beauty sleep even to at least try to prevent one advance there from Madri. But I think that would have been a super risky play, and this one is more of the opposite of a risky play in that sense. Joyride is the conservative play here, trying to guarantee their expedition progression on that hero side, bar any removal coming out from Madri. I like that line. You're virtually never going to use that Conjuring Seal from reserve, at least for 5 mana in this matchup. So I think that's a pretty safe decision. I like it.
Yeah. That's true. So now discarding 2 of the cards, so being able to keeping the studio disciples and also the magical training. Nice choice. And also like Joyride in general is a nice spell to have in a panel as I'm thinking of it now, because there's like some case that you just like wants to remove something from the reserve, it's completely fine for you. It's cruel, but Resource Rise, both of them being on the top with it, it's like the same cards, just like the reserve in a small difference. And now the Studio Disciples will be starting off on the companion side, so now it's the turn of Damien, and as we can see, it's actually the field reinforcements that we saw in like another. It was like in the last game that we saw it like in the reserve being played out. So
we saw it the first turn of this game from Madri as well in the other deck. So I think
also here,
especially considering that they did have to concede a little bit in the early game to set up card advantage, and then later that Nihilum. The fact is, at this point, this field reinforcements is pretty good, as they are indeed behind or tied in both expeditions.
Yeah.
But finally seeing a unique come out from a player, it is that Leave the Expedition Zone spindle that we saw earlier.
Yeah.
These are still excellent, very different than Dusk spindles. I am a big fan of these as well. Overall, very strong. Typically, with this sort of spindle, you will have better average card quality of the cards that you're returning. With that sort of effect, you will just get them less frequently. But they are a little bit insulated from removal in a lot of cases, which is the really nice thing about them. But I think the big question we're about to see is whether or not Damien is able to start leveraging this Nihilum in a pretty big way. If they are able to start generating more moths more regularly, they might be able to just fight a pretty good card advantage game. But cards like Spindle Harvesters from Madri are going to make that a lot harder.
It's true. And as you can see now, it's like the decision that FRs were taking now for the upcoming turn. So I'm interested now in it's like did you use the plural of moth? Yeah, shame. I also want to mention that, but I didn't want to say it out loudly. Thank you so much, Blue. Nah, just kidding. We see the Joyride directly being played out again, so removing the magical training. Spindle Harvester getting, I want to say like an additional boost, but it's a great guess, Mr. Freeloader. Yeah, so I would say now that I took the guess and also Freeloader took the guess, I would say the big news are that we're going back to 6 rounds, right? Is it the big news? We're going back to 6 rounds?
That would be big news.
That would be like actually also awesome news.
Is the big news that we're also going to add a Friday tournament now in between European and US time zones?
Yeah. Is it the big news that you start to buying spots from other tournaments so that the A.W.O.L is almost placing on every day? Tell us, Simon, tell us. Are you expanding, or it's like you all have good guesses? Oh, thank you so much.
Oh no.
Nah, just kidding. So we will see the off you go will be playing out. Remove the spindle harvester that got a little bit way out of hand with those stats, but being able actually due the ability to getting back the joy, imagining if there was nothing. Yeah, that was actually crazy. The big news is that you're being able to watch now the stream. Thank you so much for joining in.
And I can't help but feel like though there's this just looks so good for Madry still.
Yeah.
So far, Damien unable to find a way, at least this turn, to leverage the Nylum that's in play. This Spindle Harvester was able to pick up their Joyride again. Joyride, not necessarily the card that they would want to be picking up with that sort of effect, but it is at least something. And it's very likely, at least, that there will be at least one expedition progression here from Madry. Oh, except, okay, the Orders Recruit does stay in play. I did have a feeling that that would end up getting removed over the course of this turn. But yeah, that at least ends up going Damien's way. So still very much alive, but Damien having to cash in on some resources as well and discarding down now one of the cards in the reserve. I'm interested to see which it'll be, and it's the Joyride. They're not focused on the stats, it seems, and they're more thinking that they potentially need the 4-mana removal from the off you go, or maybe they have a unique that could pick up a spell from the reserve that could make that really good.
Yeah, it could also be the case, and it's like an interesting thing for now, because if we're going like for the expeditions, then of course like Madry still being able to being forward, and I would say it's also like now the time that Damien actually also need to take care of, not only like just like in the case of also double progressing, it's also like the most thing of the mirror matchups. It's like whoever is being able to being the first Athanas to just like being one expedition away for a win. It's just like the case that you're just like playing out these balls, the giant leap. So now also like at some point Damien needs to think of, okay, I don't only need like to progress, it's also like I need to defend and not making sure that Madry not being able to just like progressing as now. So let's see if this will be the case.
I'm loving seeing the number of the same cards that keep coming out back and forth from each player. We did see the difference between the rare versus the common Studious Disciple, but otherwise we've seen Joyride from both players, Field Reinforcements from both players, now having Katagir and Mage Dancers out on opposing sides of the board at least. Sort of crazy. I do think that this is going to be much harder for Damien though this turn, particularly because they had to start off the turn. So there is currently a slight mana advantage in terms of decision making ability now for Madry that they will have over Damien. But oh wow, Banishing Gate just going to get rid of this Mage Dancer right off the bat. Love that decision here. There will be no chance for this helping hand to keep refreshing that fleeting off of the Katagir and Mage Dancer. It just goes directly away. And depending on whether or not Damien has more characters, this could be a really rough turn for them.
Yeah, that's true. That's right. So, see what Damien will do right now. But is there a chance that there should be a character on hand, right? It should be. Hopefully.
You gotta hope so for Damien. I wonder here though. I think they might also be considering, like for example, if one of these cards is another Nylum, for example, whether or not they should try to outstat this Katagir and Mage Dancer or not with the 1 mana remaining from Madry. And it does look like they are going to try to. Oh no, they're not trying to just outstat it. They are placing one moth to force out the additional spell from Madry, and the other moth to guarantee their expedition progression on the companion side. Yeah, that's also a really tight play. I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's true. Now we see the double wolf will be coming out, so now it's the turn. So again, Madry we're being able to progressing on the expedition, and it's getting closer and closer. Being the upcoming player and reserves wisely, it's being like also a little bit tough for Damien right now, because there's like so many stuff that needs to get removed out of hand. If that was like the case before, it was like just like lovely a little bit for Damien right now, but now it's like almost everything is like just like being played out to at least progressing at some point. So
the crazy thing that I'm realizing just now as well, of course you don't have access to all the information about what cards you'll have the next turn.
Yeah.
But if Damien had chosen to keep that Joyride over the Off You Go that turn specifically,
Yeah.
they would have actually been able to tie up that hero side, over like at least
Yeah.
go equal then with that Katagirian Mage Dancer. They
Yes.
would have had to discard away like a Magical Training in order to enable that play, but then they would end up with 2 cards in reserve, and they wouldn't be losing anything that way either. Whereas as it stands now, they're now discarding away multiple cards as well. So just sort of interesting. Of course, you don't have access to the knowledge of what cards you'll draw, so whether that might enable that sort of play or not. But it's just worth noting, like, wow, okay, Joyride would have actually been really good in that spot.
It's true. So, okay. Matri will be the starting player for that turn, and I'm interested in what's happening now. But it's actually, I want to say it's actually funny because there could be also like a chance to just play out double Small Step Giant Leap, but then our fighters on the other hand got the chance to actually progressing twice and using the Small Step Giant Leap. But we will see that the Mage Dancer will be the starting off character for our Matri. And now it's the turn of our Aphanas for Damien. And it's like, either still we got like the Moth to a Flame back in reserve to actually being able to create something. And it's actually the Nilum again that will be playing. So we will see a lot of Moths that will be playing out now.
Yeah, definitely. I think the nice thing here for Damien being that they are threatening a lot of additional stats thanks to this discount Moth from a Flame in reserve. Otherwise, if there is no additional character play coming out from Madri, there's a chance that Off You Go ends up trying to target the Katagirian Mage Dancer. But yeah, it's a really hard spot where the chance of this Mage Dancer just getting bigger than all of the Moths combined, regardless of Moth even, is very high.
Yeah,
and I also think that does make it more likely, though, that this will end up being an Off You Go, just going after this Mage Dancer right off the bat, which should prevent most of the crazy double progression options for Madri. But even then, they're very much threatening a win with Small Step.
That's true. It's all right, but at least our fans, Damien will be able to creating another moth, and yeah, this will be the choose. So playing it out, getting it to the Hero Expedition, still being able, and it's like one of the most amazing combos that I like to see. Playing out the spell and also potentially being able to boosting the moth that's getting out. But now we will see the Mage Dancer actually getting it, and there we go. It's really the Off You Go. So the Mage Dancer from the Hero Expedition will get removed, and I would say for now, yeah, that the additional boost will go to the Mana Moth. And for now, it seems like that Matri at least needs to play out like 2 spells to being able boosting this Mage Dancer tune, and we see the Magical Training still being in the reserve, sadly for Matri, that the Helping Hand got exhaust actually. So would help like a lot in that case. But for now, it's being like either playing out 2 spells or getting maybe like another character in the combination with the Magical Training. But with 4 mana, it's like without the Magical Training, like not many things that actually our fans could do right now. And I would say out of those 3 hands, actually 1 hand card will be a Small Step Giant Leap. And I see more and more people start watching us, so I would say that the game is taking long enough for a final match, and that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm wondering what the decision could be here from Madri, actually. I'm assuming that they're trying to decide whether or not there's a chance of them drawing a 1-cost spell that's high enough to warrant playing out either this Magical Training from reserve or a potential Conjuring Seal from their own hand.
Yeah.
But that also sort of tells me that they have a decision, and I'm wondering if they're thinking that removal is potentially better or trying to set up a character otherwise.
Yeah.
Which would also likely tell us that there is no Small Step, at least yet. The reason why we'd say that is that if there was an easy way for them to go over on 1 expedition, they would simply do that, and that would be it. We would see nothing else happen this game, and they would win.
True.
However, and that made me think, okay, like that's an interesting way of playing the line. and I think at least that's interesting enough that okay, like let's go into their deck list. And the thing that I immediately notice is there is no small step giant leap in Madry's deck list.
Right. What?
There is no small step giant leap in Madry's deck list at all.
Right, hold on. Yo, kid, I thought my headphones broke. I've heard that there's no small step giant leap in the deck list of Madry.
Yeah, this broke my brain a little bit here. And
should I call it ambulance?
Yeah, maybe actually, because that's incredible to me.
Okay.
I guess Madry trying to demonstrate that if you thought that the card that needed to be nerfed is small step giant leap, you were barking up the wrong tree, I think is the expression.
Madry, why?
This is really cool. I'm impressed.
Why?
It's worth noting they are choosing a few things that are non-traditional, at least non-traditional, at least compared to what we've seen in the last while.
Yes.
Rare Studious Disciples, definitely super special. Multiple Joyrides in the deck, 3 field reinforcements, but yeah, overall this is a different way of cooking the build, and I mean they're doing a great job with it.
That's it. Madry, I'm hoping for weeks that this cut is getting suspended. And now you start to winning a tournament without playing it, even in the deck. This is no.
Yeah, I guess Madry's just trying to say, all of you people who needed small step in order to win, you are bad. Something along the lines of that. It's pretty sweet. There is one small step from Damien, which is definitely lower than the average Aphanis list, but given that they are hard built around this Nylum Withered Tree, it makes a lot of sense. That does give a lot more draws in the deck that can be rough on early turns when you need to find a playable spell. So I like that choice, just playing 1 in the heavy 3 copies of Nylum configuration. But yeah, overall crazy. Seeing an Aphanis mirror with just 1 copy of small step between 2 players, that's super funny.
It's super funny. And yeah, okay, guys, you prove a point, but it will not change anything. It will not change anything. Hopefully. Equinox, please. Game tester, hear me out. It's one game that we see, okay?
If small step needs a change, there's a lot of things that need changes. It's small step and its buddy Grand Endeavor.
Yeah.
If
both of them,
if it's
surely.
uniques that get nerfed or other things from Aphanis, I think there's other decks that also likely need a lot of fixes, let's say. So it's tough. But this one finally is going Madry's way. Turns out you do not need small step in order to win, and you even don't need it to win in Aphanis Mirror. Studious Disciple plus Joyride getting there barely over the Moth's game plan. Really closely fought one though overall. Damien doing a great job with that Nylum configuration. I do think it's worth noting that I do think this like aggressive Joyride configuration without the Nylum, it also just might be a little bit better into the mirror. Nylum often really good in some of the slower instances, but notably the 2/2/2 stats of the Moths are typically pretty irrelevant for Aphanis to deal with. If they are relevant, they just meet removal. If they're not relevant, it's category and Mage Dancer territory, and they really don't mind no matter how many Moths you play. Moth, but not enough.
But at the end, it's coming to an end, and it's actually... Oh, okay, so there is still like a game... No, actually, Madry is the only player that actually got 7 wins, being undefeated. That's interesting.
Ja, notably Damien.
Okay, OBS hat Verbindung getrennt. Ist wieder da. Wir sind wieder da. I'm not from Germany. We are back.
No.
Really interesting. Okay, so we still got some games left, but for all those, we are back. Sometimes it's happening. That's sad, but I can tell you, like, clearly in Germany, our internet is like, oh boy, another topic. another topic.
It's worth stating, by the way, that with Madry winning that game, I believe that's the last 4 online events that Altered Aces have participated in now, where they have placed first.
That's
So
crazy.
that's between the No Unique Championship from last week, then the A.W.O.L Wednesday a couple hours after, then AQZ Championship, and then running it back again in today's Monday. That's sort of the full circuit at the moment, other than Ace, but I don't think they typically participate in Ace. Could be wrong there, but yeah, that's pretty insane.
It's pretty insane. Yeah, it's amazing. That's cool. But hey, for any other teams, guys, it's your chance to take the crown.
How can I take the crown back if I keep commentating? No, I
Yeah.
gotta keep commentating. It's so much
like,
fun.
yeah, it's like restart to getting a full caster team.
It's true. It's true.
Otherwise, quarantine casting AQC.
Exactly, and then the perpetual hostage player and
Yeah.
the perpetual 5-1 freeloader. Yep.
Yeah,
That's
amazing.
what we do.
Yeah, that's what we do, guys, and we're liking it. But anyway, there's like some tables left, or maybe I refresh at the time. Maybe they are finished at some point. So no, still being in play. The German autopiloting. Yeah, it's like I read it like a funny mention that almost every English caster like on European side is either like from Switzerland, like Kielen, or like Freeloader, or it's like from Germany. They're doing the main things. So we're happy to do it. It's okay, guys. But new meta 6-1. That's not possible. Do we have a table that we can watch behind it until we're waiting for Germany is finishing? Do we have a table?
I just saw a game between Farah Sparta and CMX that I clicked on.
Then go. I join it and then we can watch together.
There's currently Tasia and Lindaway battling it out to try to get to a tiebreaker, it looks like. There's a really big Hydrocana from the Tasia side, but Lindaway trying their best to find enough stats onto their Maw to make it work. But I think it's looking pretty good for Tasia at the moment, especially if it does get into tiebreaker. That Hydrocana is threatening to win on its own. Notably, in this specific case, it's also not removable by something like Boom, given the fact that there's enough plants in play to make that really difficult.
Yeah, that's true.
And but there are, continuously more and more stats being added onto the board, so it will end up going to tiebreaker. It's just there's going to be so much on board to start with for the turn for Artesia, having an anchored Daughter of Yggdrasil, an anchored Dracana, an anchored Spindle Harvester, and that Eternal Hydrocana rare. Lindaway has their work cut out for them.
Yeah.
The one upside for them is they have 4 cards in hand, and Tasia is only going to be working with the 2 that they draw right off the bat here.
It's true. I mean, it's like... No, even not like a beauty sleeper type out.
There is potential for a card like Blizzard to come out, and Blizzard could do a really good job.
Yeah.
I wonder. It's nice at least for Tasia that their cards are currently on opposite sides, so they're not in risk of getting everything wiped by a single Blizzard.
Yeah.
But it's definitely the sort of thing that Lindaway could have, and it could be a good out for them. So I wouldn't call this one over just yet.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. So let's see how this tiebreaker will end, and we will see that the Spindle Harvester will be playing out. So total set of strength. It's like a big Hydrocana. It's not the biggest that I saw. It's not the biggest one, but it's it's huge. Huge numbers over there. So now Lindy will be the starting of the opposite, but
it's
okay.
It's
Okay,
a Winter Nova. Notably, that is sort of problematic because all it hits here is all of the small things. If it's triple sacrifice, at least, it ends up being a Spindle Harvester, a Dracana, and another Spindle Harvester that goes away.
Yes.
And so, despite all of the cool things that Winter Nova could have otherwise been really good against, it's not going to really matter here, I don't think. Oh, never mind. This isn't the rare as well, meaning that you have to choose 3 different options. So that's why we're seeing a couple moths here instead of a couple more sacrifices. The card draws for Tasia this turn were very poor in Spindle Harvesters plus Bountiful Meadow, but given that the only play coming out from Lindaway so far has been that Winter Nova, that should be just fine for them.
Yes. That's it. For now, but yeah, make them more big. make them more big. That's okay. Liking it.
Yeah, Tasia proving here it's not about having the biggest Hydrocana ever. It's about what you do with the Hydrocana that you have. And yeah, that Hydrocana did a really good job. Turns out getting an Eternal character that survives into the tiebreaker arena is a good thing to be doing with an Eternal character.
Yeah,
so.
it's true. So let's see if this was the last game. Please, I want to go to bed at some point. No, genetic. No,
there's Pandy in pain, still having to commentate. Not another minute with Kilon guy. No.
Oh, no, that's okay. All right. Oh. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's true. Okay.
I know.
Yeah, I know.
Everybody hates me. I don't know why.
Nah, that's not true, and you know that.
Cool. Seeing Genetic on Tasia today. Genetic really well known for their Fen play. I didn't expect to see them on Tasia, but I guess they're also under the impression that Tasia is an excellent deck.
Whew.
And Genetic does win due to time. And Pandy, I think that means you're saved. We can give the final details for who won this event.
Finally,
that'll be it.
That will be it. So, do you have the special voice for doing it, or do we?
Oh no! And also, please don't make me read out all of the 5 and 2s as well. This was a big event. We have 33 of those.
We will stick on the top 16.
All right, perfect.
Yeah. Okay, so now, guys, the tournament comes to an end. So, thanks so much by far now for watching it, and also if you playing it out. And now the final results being the first place that getting undefeated in a 165 player tournament is actually like a new record for an online tournament, like in general, like a big record, and also like for the A.W.O.L in general, it's A.A. Matry. On the second place is stemming, so 2 Afanas being on first and second place. Then on the third place, it's Groups, the most favorite nickname that we read so far. The fourth place will be Tempête Lanik. Yeah, I wish
not quite Tempête de la Neige. Again, a really impressive performance with them from Team Altered Aces.
Ooh, then we have... Continue.
Yeah, sure. I was going to say, then another player with a team, that's Agite's Spartacus, showing up again in a tournament. I think they've had a little bit of a tournament break in some cases, so cool seeing them with a really awesome performance here. 6-1, that's great. Bijitak, who we saw earlier, I believe, was playing Sigmar. Then we had Yo on their classic Afanas, despite the lower elo that they had this time in comparison to many of the other times we've seen them. They're still killing it on Afanas. DSL's Wolitze playing Sigmar as well. Freeloader from Team Altered Quarantine Zone. I believe they were on the Kojo today.
Yeah.
And then we have a few people who I'm not 100% sure what deck they were on. We have Soup Plouf. Fantastic username. Wow. Also with that 6-1, they're the final 6-1 player of the event. And rounding out the top 16, I'll quickly go through them. We have Geek on Nord, we have Altered Aces, Cledius, we have Lorendil, Jules Deroux, CC1380.
Yeah.
And Obeos. So congrats to all the top 16. Congrats to everyone in general who had these good showings at 5 and 2. Sorry that we're not going to read out all your names. Otherwise, we will be here all night. And I think both Andy and I have a date with the rest of our food and then the bed at some point.
Yes. True.
But awesome tournament. I was, thrilled to be a part of this first 7-rounder for A.W.O.L.
It's I figured out that we're being part of almost every special thing that's happening. It's so amazing. I like
really
it.
Cool. It makes me very happy.
Awesome.
The other reason though that we have to end the stream really quickly is because Simon has ensured me that he won't give me any details for me to leak on stream about these special announcements.
Okay.
until after the stream. So sorry, all of you. I need the secret information now, but I
Yeah.
love you.
And I also ask him. So, but no, anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining in. It's always like we're so excited. I can speak for us both and to join in on those commentary, to casting it for you, and yeah, being able to casting already like a big tournament like that. So stay tuned like for the Wednesday our tournament. You cook us and do not peel us. So for everything, check out the Killing Guys YouTube channel if there will be content at some point throughout the
Totally.
year. And also like what can I advertise? Yeah, I will advertise our own tournament, I would say. So come join into the AQC Championship Season 1, Week 7. Here you're being able to getting progress for your adventure pass, and at one point I am hoping that we're getting also 120 players full, because our last 2 tournaments, and I'm almost sure it's because we're getting trolled. I'm telling it. I'm saying it.
Like 124.
Yeah. It's like, guys, it's okay. It's funny. It's really funny. It's okay. But hey, you're getting nice prizes and adventure pass. So join in. Tell your friends. Yeah, and I would say maybe like what else? Yeah, you can watch it on my stream, PaandyAndy, on Twitch. I stream there sometimes, like only one day per week. No, but anyway, thank you so much for joining in. Yeah, did you want to add something? Yeah.
I was just going to add as well, thanks to Blue Oak TV on YouTube.
Yeah, thank you so much.
For filling in for me,
Yes.
pretending to be the kill on guy for the first 20 minutes of the stream. That was a big help because I was finishing up at work and then getting back home. So
Yeah.
that's super cool. Check out his YouTube. He has a ton of really good videos. And in case you haven't seen it yet, most recently he did do an interview with the founder of Team Altered Aces, Clay. So outside of being a great player, he is the founder of that team. So definitely worth a watch, I would say, as well as all of the other videos that he makes. So shout out to you, Blue, as usual. And otherwise, if you want to be playing more Altered this week, of course, not only is there A.W.O.L on Wednesday night in the Americas time zone, more so late at night, Thursday morning for you Europeans, I guess, in that sense.
Yeah.
But there's also from Team Agité on Wednesday evening for Europe. There's the No Unique Championship. As you mentioned, AQZ Championship then on Thursday evening. And then I believe Ace is on Sundays regularly currently. So again, as always, there's tons of Altered to be played, and I'm excited to watch you all playing and to all commentate and talk about your games and get excited.
Nothing to add. Thank you so much, guys. Goodbye, I guess. See you next time.
Take care. Bye-bye.